You are looking at a spectacular view of Lake Washington on an absolutely perfect Sunday morning. Chopper 7 bringing you the pictures from the shore to the log boom. We expect every square inch to be packed with sun-worshiping air show and hydroplane fans by day's end. And this is what they've come to see. Boat racing's boys of summer are back. The Thunderboats have returned to Seattle and to Seafair. First on the water this morning, Miss M Corps practicing for a long day of competition. And the team to beat, well, after yesterday's running of heats 1A and 1B, you'd certainly have to say that boat, the big red beer wagon, the Miss Bud, is the favorite today. Dave Villwalk had a pretty easy time of it. The question is, what will the waters of Lake Washington hold today? And that's always a very good question on Seafair Sunday. And good morning to all of you. Welcome to KIRO 7's day-long coverage, live coverage of the Chevrolet Cup at Seafair. For the 54th year, the boats have returned here to Lake Washington. And as long as boats, hydroplane fans, and all the rest have been coming here, there have certainly been controversy. There have been surprises. There have been a couple of very close calls, and even worse. And there's also, at the end of the day, one person who is standing on the victory platform holding the Chevrolet Cup, signifying the winner in this year's big Seafair regatta. Should be a great day of boat racing. It is not without controversy. It is not without its beautiful sunny weather, but there is one thing hanging over all of us right now and blowing through all of us who are follically challenged, and that is the wind, and it is quite a breeze that's blowing. My partner up here in the pit tower for so many years, Chip Hanauer. Chip, I don't know that I felt this much wind this early in the day.
No, and as a race driver, there was really nothing I feared except one thing, and that's the wind. I didn't fear the competition or, you know, the race cars. Wind is the thing that they all fear. And as I talked to the drivers this morning, the biggest thing on their mind is the wind and its unpredictability.
Well, we'll certainly talk about the weather. There will be a fair share of sunburn. We talked about getting rid of the rain. Well, that has now all gone, but this wind has come in, and it could very well be a problem today for both the big boats and the smaller unlimited lights.
Maybe even worse for the unlimited lights because they're lighter. Now, these unlimited weighs about 6,000 pounds, but these little unlimited lights, they weigh about 2,000 pounds, so they're much more susceptible to a sudden gust. And remember, a hydroplane more than anything else is a wing. Think of it as an airplane wing with training wheels. Those are the sponsons, so it can be tough.
We are going to begin with a look at the drivers and the teams with our KIRO 7 Sports Director, Gard Swanson.
Thanks, Steve. I'm on the west side of the pits, and I tell you what, you may catch a winner over here today. And the boat to watch is the Miss Elam. Terry Troxel comes in with a qualifying time of 152 miles an hour this week. Let's send it over to Bill Rocky.
Thanks, Gard. I'm on the east side of the pits here. I'll be covering the Budweiser, the Lumar, and the Oberto. Interesting situation over here. Dave Villwalk, can he overcome the fuel restrictions and win here at Seafair? Steve David, quietly the national points leader. We'll see how he does here today, too. For more over on the east side of the pits, let's go over to Greg England.
Bill, thank you. A big story here on the east side of the pits will be the Miss M Corps. Nate Brown driving for M Corps this year, no longer with the Elam. Second fastest qualifier here this weekend. The other story are the rookie drivers. Over here with Graham Trucking, J. Michael Kelly, just 25 years old, finished third at the Tri-Cities. Rabes, the rookies, a big story this weekend.
Greg England, guys in the pits, thanks very much. But our story doesn't end in the pits. We also have reporters along the shoreline and out on the log boom, and certainly at the start-finish line where the stories really are told from our legendary play-by-play man, the voice of unlimited hydroplane racing, Mike Fitzsimmons. Mike, your thoughts this morning?
Good morning, Steve. Well, the wind has died down out here just a little bit over what it was about a half hour ago. We've got maybe 15 mile an hour steady and maybe 20, 25 for a few gusts, but it is going to be a factor. It's out of the north, which means as the boats come out of the lower corner for the first time, and especially the outside guy as he faces that wind for the first time after a rooster tail of protection, he's going to be in some trouble. And as they enter that the first buoy of the upper turn by the bridge, that's also going to be a vulnerable point until the wind changes or shifts later in the day. So it's going to be a tricky race around this race course today.
All right, Mike, we have another racing legend join us, and this man never piloted a boat, but he's been there for and been here for an awful lot of the great hydroplane racing, deck-to-deck racing over the years. I'm talking about Pat O'Day, who joins us again here, our newest member of the Cairo 7 broadcast team, and it only took him 38 years to get here. Pat?
Well, Steve, this day, it's a pleasure to be on these sacred shores again to describe all the action. And this Sunday really reeks of significance. Not only the controversy, but the final voyage of the mighty Budweiser around these waters. And you got to have a lump in your throat, but a smile on your face as you think of the bombastically beautiful Bernie Little and all the red rockets he's brought here over the years. And as we look into the future, there are no endings, there's only new beginnings. And this sport is more powerful than any one sponsor, one boat, or one driver. And delighted to be a part of that new beginning here today.
And we have much more yet to do this morning. We have heats 1A and 1B. They were run yesterday. We will show them to you in their entirety coming up in a few moments. Also, the driver of this boat just won racing's biggest prize. Nate Brown comes to Seattle as the Gold Cup champ. We'll talk with him. And this year we have names like J. Michael Kelly, who will drive the Graham Trucking today. Also a number of new drivers. We'll meet them ahead as we count down to the Chevrolet Cup on the Subway Startup Show. Be right back. One boat that is here today is the reigning Gold Cup champ. Nate Brown will drive the Miss M-Corps, and Greg England, I'm sure that Nate's feeling pretty good about coming home here, and this is his home, wearing the crown of Gold Cup champ.
A new look, Nate. No mustache this year.
Yeah, I shaved. What the heck?
Wow, you look a little younger. I didn't recognize you at first.
Well, you know, it's wonderful. I can just shave my mustache off and look younger, you know, but I'm getting old, buddy, let me tell you.
Come on, a seasoned veteran. And I'll tell you what, it showed when you went to Detroit, because here you are, you step into a boat that you hadn't driven before, hadn't worked with this crew, and you get the win in Detroit with this M-Corps crew. Talk about that.
Well, it was awesome. You know, Mike Weber, he hurt himself in Madison, and they called me up and said, hey, we might need you to fill in for him if you can't drive, and I was able to fill in for him. I didn't know until I got there that I was going to be driving.
What does it mean to you to win, hold up that Gold Cup like that? Because you've been around racing a long time, and to get that win.
It's real special. The Gold Cup is the creme de la creme of the trophies, and it's been around since 1903, right, or whatever it was, and it's special, really special. So it's just a wonderful feeling. It's a great team to drive for. I was so happy to bring it home for Kim Gregory and the U10 M-Corps team.
Part of filling in for a driver on short notice is making adjustments, and I want to show you one of the adjustments are the shoes, right? What's the story behind? You can't even wear a regular pair of shoes.
No, Mike's a pretty good sized guy, and you know I'm not very big, Greg. I'm your size, right?
Right.
And so in the cockpit they got some phone books and some foam, and for me to reach the gas pedal I got to wear a shoe with a bigger sole on it. So it's comfy, and I don't care what I look like. You know, I got. Want to see my back?
Yeah, he's got. This is a leopard. That's the secret weapon, we're told. Well, good luck today, Nate. Appreciate you joining us. We'll look for the Miss M-Corps and Nate Brown out there on the water, guys.
Let's head over to Greg Swanson. He's in the camp of the Miss Elam Plus. Gart.
All right, thanks a lot, Raves. And I tell you what, Terry, you're one of the most colorful guys, one of the most colorful drivers, one of the most aggressive drivers, and you got to like your chances. You just heard Rabel say top qualifying speed this week, 152 miles an hour.
Yeah, we were hauling. So, well, we went backwards a little bit first heat yesterday. We've made some changes this morning. The boat seems to float over all this white cap stuff out here. So we expect to have a pretty good heat next heat.
And you certainly have to like your chances, but what about 3 weeks ago in Detroit? I mean, that got pretty scary, didn't it, when you guys flipped?
Oh, well, no, it was a real soft flip. I'm getting really good at landing now. Now, I really landed soft. Now, the amazing story of the whole thing is an hour and 45 minutes after the boat came back, it was ready to run again.
That's good.
And we ran the next heat and got a third. And it was just, the crew is just totally amazing, and the Elstrom crew. It's just amazing.
And this is a new crew for you, too. Tell me about that.
Well, it's, you know, I don't know. We're meshing together very well, I think. Eric, Elstrom, and I, it's really cool to have somebody that thinks exactly the same as I do when it comes to competition. And that's very important for a driver and an owner, crew chief.
And what's this boat like? I mean, I think you've said in the past that this may be the fastest boat you've ever been in.
It's not maybe. It is the fastest boat. Well, at first, this is only our third race. So we're just kind of getting things, we're still kind of cementing things together. But right now it's exactly the way I want it. And it's taken this long to get it there. And they've done everything they could, bent over backwards to do that for me. And the boat is just totally fast. I mean, it's scary fast sometimes.
You're ready to go. The boat's ready to go. You certainly have to like your chances. You picking a win today?
Yeah, well, you know, I think there's 5 boats here that can win. And I think you got to fight every single one of them. I think the preliminary heats are going to be good heats, but the final heat is going to be a barn burner.
All right, good luck.
All righty, thanks.
And the hour is at hand. It's time to go racing. Heat 1A here in the 2004 Chevrolet Cup at Seafair. And here are your headlines. The Gold Cup champ is in this race. But wait a minute, it's not the Budweiser. Well, the driver's leader right now is in this race as well. But wait a minute, it's not Dave Villwock of the Miss Budweiser either. And finally, the doctor is in. Your silver dollar doctor. Can he win his first ever unlimited race? That's Heat 1A. So let's take a look at these boats getting ready for Heat 1A here on the waters of Lake Washington. The Oh Boy Alberto, the silver dollar boat piloted by Dr. Ken Muscatel. Steve Hook's in the Beacon Plumbing boat, Miss M-Corps, with Nate Brown at the controls, and Greg Hopp piloting the U-100 Toyota of Kirkland. We check the waters of the lake, clear as glass. The boat's scoring up. A little more than 3.5 to go. These pictures from Chopper 7. Let's talk about the drivers. Let's talk about the boat team, starting with Alberto and Steve David, the enviable position of being the points leader, Chip.
It is enviable, but the problem is he, being the points leader, has got to make sure not only that he gets some points, but he comes out of this race, this heat clean, make sure everything's not broken and ready to go for the...
Bill Rocky in the pits, a little bit of pressure on Steve David.
That's right. He's kind of my dark horse for this race. He's kind of sitting back there with that national points lead right now. Nobody really talking about him. He told me before the race, right before he got in the boat, that they've got a totally new setup. Trying to see how that'll go here on Lake Washington, and they're going to learn a lot in this first heat.
Let's take a look at this casino boat piloted by Dr. Ken Muscatel. And Mike, it'd be nice to see Dr. Ken get a win.
It would indeed be nice to see him do that. He broke a gearbox over in Tri-Cities, which interrupted perhaps his best racing day in recent years. The boat, I think, is prepared well, and Ken, I think, is a lot more confident on Lake Washington than he's been in a long time. He may be able to put it together here.
The Beacon Plumbing boat, U99, Steve Hook, again, another one of those young, at least by experience, drivers.
He is. This is his second unlimited race. An unlimited boat is a lot heavier, which makes it more difficult to drive than a light. So he's going to have to take his time to learn some things here.
We're talking dark horses. Perhaps Nate Brown is the guy. He is the Gold Cup winner, Mike. He's in Miss M-Corps.
That's a good term for him. Dark horse. He knows this race course. He has a boat that is seasoned. It has had many races under its sponsons. He's got a good program, solid equipment. He won the Gold Cup as the backup driver for Mike Weber, who was injured earlier this year. He's in a fill-in position now, and he'd love to win here on Lake Washington.
And Greg England, he likes to joke around a lot, does Nate Brown, but I bet he's serious right now.
He is pretty serious, because keep in mind, guys, he has the most experience of all the drivers in this heat. In fact, he's with some guys that don't have that much experience, so that's something to keep in mind. But Nate adjusting to his new team, just his second race with this crew, so he's adjusting to them, but still very confident.
And the final boat in this race, the Toyota of Kirkland, Greg Hopp at the controls.
Greg Hopp is someone that substituted for me back in '99. It looked like he was going to be a star, but he's really kind of fallen on hard times. He needs to turn his career around, and here would be a great place to start.
Well, let's see, as they're scoring up now here on the lake, we'll talk about, since this is the first heat, how these drivers end up in their lanes. Mike, tell us.
Well, they're already up a little bit too early, but they're going to fight for their lanes, and they haven't done a whole lot of fighting, to be perfectly honest with you. Ken Muscatel trying to creep to the inside, as is Greg Hopp. Following up the rear is Steve Hook, who will start an assigned lane number 5 in this race. The referee, Rick Sandstrom, has said he wants the rookies to stay to the outside for the first heat at least, until he gets a chance to have a look at them.
Mike, let me jump in real quick. I want to get Pat O'Day's comment as they come to the head of the straight up there.
Just going to say, none of these drivers were even born. The last time there was a heat of racing on this lake on a Saturday, that was 1954. This is 2004, and here they come.
Boats are in the arc, as I say. They're a bit on the early side, Chip. We've seen this happen before. There's a short run to the start-finish line from that north turn, and sometimes the drivers get thrown off.
Very early, and there's a rule that says you can't go off a plane, and some of these guys are very close to being off a plane right now.
Greg Hopp looking pretty good right now in the 2 lane. It looks like Muscatel will be on the inside, and Nate Brown in lane 3 and lane 4, and Steve David on the outside. It's the rookie, Steve Hook. Here they come to the line. like a legal start.
Boy, you saw some converging lines here. You saw the guys on the outside pinching the guys on the inside. That can lead to trouble.
Into the traffic now, down into that first corner. Lots of rooster tails, a whole lot of spray coming out first. It's Greg Hopp. And he has established the lead, but here comes Muscatel on the inside. Now, where is Steve David? He's got the horsepower to be in there, too. Greg Hopp is the boat you're seeing. That's the blue one with the red stripes, a Fred Leland race boat. And just to the outside of him is, or to the inside of him, I should say, is Ken Muscatel. But down to the outside, we see Steve David. Finally, he started to show up in the front row. We have some problems with the M-Core. Nate Brown has already gone dead in the water.
We just saw a buoy get hit by Ken Muscatel, and that's really that's going to give him a lap penalty.
It will indeed. The question is, was he pushed into it, or did he just snag it himself? Across the line first for the first lap around, it is Greg Hopp. Second place, Steve David, and here comes the rookie Steve Hook on the outside, trying to reel in the old boy Oberto at this point. Through the lower corner for the second time now. Once again, Greg Hopp off the turn. He is in command at the moment in the Miss Beacon Hill Plumbing. Well, that's the Steve Hook boat. Greg Hopp is driving the Toyota of Kirkland, and he has the lead up front of the red, white, blue stripe pole. Interestingly enough, to see Steve Hook staying right up there with him, Chip.
I tell you, he's doing a great job. You know, again, these boats are heavy. They feel completely different than the lights boat that he's used to. But we got a heck of a race here first.
We sure do. On the outside, Steve David pitching in just a little bit now, trying to keep the horsepower, the RPMs high as he comes around, and he will overtake. He will overtake Greg Hopp as he comes down to in lap number 2. It is the old boy Oberto now out front by about 3 or 4 boat lengths.
He is showing some great boat speed because he did this from the outside. You know, Greg Hopp did his job as a driver. He had the inside. You saw him go around that exit buoy on the south turn, the north turn, did an amazing job, but there's just too much boat speed in that Oberto. There's nothing he can do about it.
Greg Hopp could not hold his corner as he came through the lower side this time and came out through the rooster tail, and he lost position to third now as Steve Hook overtook him. He swallowed a lot of water, and it slowed it down, almost put the fire out, but now Steve Hook has second place as he goes chasing down the back chute.
Well, it goes to what we said earlier in the day, you know, that these rookies, it's a great crop of rookies, and they're really showing themselves here, and he's doing a great job showing what he's capable of.
Certainly is, and Greg Hopp doesn't want to let him go. He got watered down and caused him to lose position, but he's trying to gain it back right now. Checkered flag is out for the old boy Oberto. Steve David will win it. Now the question is, who will be in second place? Looks like the more horsepower goes to Steve Hook.
It's going to be close.
The rookie, the Miss Beacon Plumbing, is the second place boat.
Wow, now those are stable mates, so Fred Leland has got a lot to be proud of here. He brought 2 boats in, second and third, very close. That's a lot to be proud of.
There's one thing we need to take a look at as well. I saw at least several boats, and you noted it at one time there early on, Chip, hitting buoys, coming into the turns, and guys losing their lanes. I don't know if we're going to penalize anybody. I don't want to say that, but there was a lot of boats moving around and a lot of lanes not their own.
Everybody is continuing to race, Crips. This is a 4-lap race, as you know, so we're coming down for the checkered flag now. Not 3, but 4 times around for the Unlimited. And still, Steve Hook is giving Greg Hopp everything he can possibly handle. Greg took the turn, got a little bit tight, got a little sideways there. It looks like Steve Hook is going to definitely bury him here to take the checkered flag.
Apparently we're hearing that Steve David, the Oberto, out in front now, has been penalized 1 lap for encroachment, so we're watching a race for first when we see these 2 Fred Leland boats going out. So it looks like Steve Hook's our leader.
In the lead.
I tell you, rookies are continuing to show very well in the Tri-Cities and now here in Seattle. I think we're seeing a changing of the guard here.
This could be a very happy heat for Fred Leland. He has 2 boats in the heat. He hasn't had a lot of luck this year. He's going to have boats 1 and 2 if they continue as they are.
You know, and Ken Muscatel, I have not seen Ken Muscatel try to grab an inside lane and hang it in there on the buoy in a long time. So I think Ken feels like this is the best chance he's had in a long time, although he hit a buoy and it's going to probably cost him.
Exactly right, but I think he has some confidence that boat going to the inside would be evidence of that. The M-Core is running again. It went dead for a period of time. Nate Brown trying to get scored. Checker flag now out as the penalty lap has been performed. Black flag comes out too to get everybody else off the race course. So the rookie serves notice that the rookies have arrived. He wins.
And not only did they do it, look who made the mistakes. It was Steve David and Ken Muscatel, the old veterans, not the young rookies. The young rookies drove clean races. You know, it's not what we're used to seeing. These guys are really good.
Steve Hook takes the victory in Miss Beacon Plumbing. He started on the fifth lane. He was not permitted to hunt for lanes. He had to start from the outside. There was a problem, as Chip mentioned, a striking of the buoy there in the first lap, which took Muscatel out of the picture, and of course was also an issue having to do with the Oh Boy Oberto, and that boat was penalized to go an extra lap for pinching the encroachment. That was all part of the same infraction up there in the north turn, and unfortunately for Nate Brown, he was not a factor in the M-Corps. He got watered down and had to restart. He did finish, but unfortunately did not have any speed, was not a competitive factor at all. The rookie is the winner.
As Steve Hook, the rookie, unclimbs his boat in the pits, he's had a good week. Tuesday at the Seafair press conference, he won the go-kart race among the unlimited drivers, and here he is on Lake Washington. Dream comes true. He has won Heat 1A.
You know, and it's no small feat to bring 3 boats and get them prepared. And not only get them prepared, but get them prepared to the point that they can finish first and second and bring rookie drivers.
So here are your unofficial results now for Heat 1A. And as you take a look at those, we'll head down to the presentation stage for the presentation of awards to the winner of Heat 1A. And time to go racing again with Heat 1B. And here are your headlines. The Big Red Boat on its final tour of duty on the Unlimited Circuit. The Budweiser's in this one. Your fastest qualifier as well will be competing with Dave Villwock in the Big Red Boat. That's the Miss Elam, the fastest qualifier here on the waters of Seattle. And finally, some young drivers trying to make a name for themselves in the Unlimited Circuit. It's all a part of Heat 1B. And now to take a look at the boats in Heat 1B. There's the Miss Budweiser, the U1, and has been for as long as we can remember. Seattle Boats and Graham Trucking, the Lumar Window Film, the Miss Elam Plus, and the Skyway Park Bowl and Casino, your U00. Working our way now just past 3 minutes, and the boats moving around on the course here at Lake Washington. These pictures from Chopper 7. Let's talk about the teams and the drivers, starting with 7 straight titles. Dave Villwock and the Miss Budweiser. Chip?
Surprisingly, only the 5th fastest qualifier, but I think we're going to see a better performance out of the racing from this than 5th place.
Bill Rocky, what's the sense down in the Budweiser pits?
I don't know if they're bluffing or what, but I've talked to a couple of their crew members. I've talked to Dave. They don't know what to expect here because of the fuel restrictions. They're just going to go out there with what they got, and they say they're just going to see how they compete with these other guys in this heat.
All right, Graham Trucking. Driver J. Michael Kelly, he is a rookie, and he's very well thought of, Mike.
J. Michael is going to have to start on the outside on lane number 5. I was just monitoring the radio, and we have a dislodged turn buoy in turn number 1, and it will not be regarded as a marker, just to be advised. J. Michael Kelly will be in lane 5. The rookie in the previous heat set the high water mark for rookies, and so this fellow just might possibly show us something here too.
And another driver with not a lot of experience in the seat of a big boat, and that's J.W. Myers at the controls of the U8.
This is J.W.'s 2nd year in the Unlimiteds. I am very high on this driver. I think he, along with J. Michael Kenyon, are the future drivers, the future stars of this sport.
The U16, the Elam, Terry Troxel, they clock in at a fastest 152 miles an hour in qualifying.
They're the fastest qualifying boat. The boat has looked just perfect in all of its test runs throughout the last couple of days, and this is a wily driver who knows his way around this race course, understands this field fairly well, and appears to be due for a victory.
Greg England, they're going to let him wind it out, or they're going to tell him to be careful with the boat?
I think they're going to let him go here. You know, I asked Terry if this is the fastest boat he's ever driven, and he said yes, by far. So he pointed out that it's more about how he handles it than the boat and how he competes against a guy like Dave Villwock in the Bud.
And finally, the Skyway Park Bowl and Casino, Doug Brow at the controls, son of a legend. Speaking of legends, Pat O'Day, your thoughts?
A race course surrounded by fans, and Seafair's gamble paid off. A huge crowd here on Saturday afternoon, and a Chevrolet Cup at Seafair reeking of hydro significance as the Miss Budweiser's making one of her final voyages around this course, around these blue waters, and Dave Villwock hopes to put an exclamation point on 40 40-year dynasty in racing that may never be equaled in motorsports.
Miss Budweiser has the inside lane. Elam in lane number 2. On the outside, coming up strong now is the Lumar with J.W. Myers. And as they come down to the line, they are perfect. A great start for J.W. Myers. Chip Hanauer suggested that that's the fellow that really seems to be coming on strong, and you see him in the middle of your screen in that yellow boat making a corner, and he is coming with a lot of horsepower around the turn with plenty of room, but on the inside it is the Budweiser with Dave Villwock holding off the Elam for just a moment as they get through the corner, and Troxel is starting to try to reel him in from the 2 lane.
You know, JW stayed real close to Bud, as you can see right there. He's not going out way wide. He's trying to cut down the distance he's got to go. These 2 guys came together at the Gold Cup, and there's no loss between these 2 guys.
Miss Budweiser into the upper corner again, the bridge turn, and coming out a little wider this time, trying to hold Terry Troxel out, is Dave Villwock, and he does a good job of pushing him toward the beach and gains a little more real estate for his money. But it is the yellow boat again. J.W. Myers is staying close in that scene as we end lap number 1. It's the Budweiser, the Elam, and the Lumar.
Budweiser does not look like a 5th fastest qualifier right now, but more than that, Dave did everything he needs to do as a driver. He was on the inside of the boats that he needed to beat, and he was right there at the start line. So it's pretty hard to go around the outside of the Miss Budweiser.
Bud off the corner again now, and out front, the Rooster Tail lead over Terry Troxel in the Miss Elam Plus. You got a battle going on now for 3rd place as Doug Brow has stuck his nose into it and is trying to catch the Lumar. Doug has the inside lane advantage. We go back into the corner, and the Budweiser takes a wild roll up there off the apex. Remember, the entrance pin to that buoy is the entrance buoy, rather, to that turn is not in its proper position, and it is disregardable.
You know, you gotta hand it to the Budweiser. They've been given less fuel per minute than the other boats, but look at the performance, and that's really due to the great technology of efficiency. They're getting every bit of fuel through that motor that they've been given legally, and look how fast the boat's going.
And the Budweiser has a commanding lead now, a couple of Rooster Tails, and it appears that Terry Troxel of the Elam is willing to leave it that way and just sort of wait and see if anything else happens. A couple more laps to go. Oh, the U2 gets very, very wild. The Seattle boat presents Graham Trucking with the rookie J. Michael Kelly that's got real wild on the front straightaway, but he's settled back down to get into the corner.
And, you know, I think you better keep your eye on J.W. Myers, because he's sneaking up on Terry Troxel, and he got on the inside of Terry, and that's pretty hard to do. So, you know, you got Budweiser right now in front with a big lead, but I think you're going to see J.W. Myers stick his nose in there for a second. But right now, it's the Budweiser out front.
And he had to back off just a little bit on the corner. Troxel caught him in the mirrors and realized he was there. Budweiser across the line now, still out front by a country mile now. Second, it is the Elam Plus behind him. It is J.W. Myers and the Lumar trying to figure out a way to catch the big orange.
J.W. Myers got that boat way up in the air, and now he's thought better of it. In fact, he got so far up in the air, now the engine's backing down. And what happens is when you get the boat up in the air, you back out of the throttle. Sometimes you come out so far, the engine cycles all the way back to idle. And I think that's what's happened to J.W. Myers.
That's exactly what happened to him. Doug Brow taking advantage of it, got around the side of him, and is now in 3rd position. And coming around also is J. Michael Kelly trying to overcome the Lumar. He might not be able to do so because Lumar has got some speed back again. But as we come out of the upper corner, we have a checkered flag flying, and that is not an unusual sight on Lake Washington in the last 41 years. As the Miss Budweiser comes down to take Heat 1B.
You know, one thing the rookies, and I'm going to throw J.W. Myers in there because this is only a second year, have to learn is when to be aggressive. This is the first heat of the weekend. There's really very little at stake here. He did some great moves to come from far back, but, you know, now's not a time to make a big gamble like that.
You know, if you want to root for the boats territorially, the winner was Auburn with Dave Villwock. 2nd place is Gig Harbor, Terry Troxel. Friday Harbor is 3rd with Doug Brow. 4th place is J.W. Murphy from Kenmore. And in 5th place is J. Michael Kelly, Puyallup.
Whatever happened to Detroit and Seattle?
Yeah, well, you know, I think that's a good point. I mean, the sport is becoming a little too localized, and we need to get more national drivers involved. We don't want this to become a regional sport and only draw on drivers from the region here.
Well, let's make it regional, like right down to the finger pier in front of the Bud Pit. That's where our Bill Rocky is. Bill?
In fact, I'm with Joe Little, and Joe, a little worried about the fuel restrictions, but first heat, everything was looking pretty good.
Well, I tell you, it'll show that when you have the start and hit it right on the mark, it's one thing to get the boat, you call it gunned up, get it running, the RPMs up so we can hit the start at a fast pace, and the boat turns so well through all these tight turns. That's the advantage right there, is hit the start right, get through the first turn clean, and let it go.
All right, Joe, good luck the rest of the day. Joe Little, pretty happy after the first heat.
And, well, he should be. And take a look now, because here are the unofficial results of Heat 1B. Take a look at those, and let's head to the presentation stage for the awards. And it's time to go racing with Heat 2A. And here are the headlines we'll be watching for. The first heat, which was run yesterday, a penalty. We'll see how that affects the Alberto team today. How will they drive knowing they were penalized yesterday? How about rookie speed? We've got some young drivers and some boats that can go pretty fast. Can they keep them on the water? And talk about fast. Here was your fastest qualifier from Friday, the Miss Elam Plus. But is it fast enough? That's Heat 2A. Let's quickly run down the boats in this Heat 2A. Seattle Boats, Graham Trucking, the Old Boy Alberto, Miss M-Core, Elam Plus, and the Fairweather Sports presents the Miss Toyota, the U100 boat. Taking a look at the course now. Remember, those Heats 1A and 1B were run yesterday. We showed them to you on tape. Conditions different today. Clear skies, but much windier. A lot of chop out there on the water. And there you see the clock, about 3.5 minutes to go before the race. As we take a look at the individual teams and the individual drivers, we start with the young guy. That's J. Michael Kelly in the Graham Trucking boat. Chip?
I would just like him to get some seat time. Try not to be a hero. Let's just get to the final for J. Michael.
The Old Boy Alberto boat, that's piloted by the veteran Steve David. He was penalized yesterday. Mike, will that be on his mind?
It'll be on his mind. He was penalized, but at the same time, he was also out front. Don't forget that.
Let's go to Bill Rocky in the pits with the Alberto team. What are they thinking down there, Bill?
Exactly what you said, Steve David. He still wants to accumulate points. That's his goal. But one of their crew members said, we just got to stay out of trouble. They didn't do that in their first heat.
And there's liable to be trouble, as we said. Look at the chop on that water out there. The U10 boat is Miss M-Core, and there is Nate Brown. And he had some troubles yesterday as well, Chip.
He did, and he won the Gold Cup, but he didn't get to cross the finish line first. I think he'd like to do that here.
Greg England, you've been following Nate Brown the last couple of days. Again, relaxed.
Absolutely. Although he is concerned about all this wind we're having, guys. Nate just told me he thinks if it keeps up, there will be some crashes today. He's hoping it's just not him.
We hope there are no delays. At times they have done that as well when the wind picks up too much. Here is the U16, the Miss Elam Plus. This was your fastest qualifier, Terry Troxel. He knows he's got a lot of speed in that boat, Mike.
He didn't have it yesterday and couldn't beat the Budweiser. New combination on the big orange boat, and with the wind, that's a little questionable.
Guard, you talked to him earlier. He said there are 4 or 5 boats that could win this race today.
Yeah, absolutely. And he also told me just a few moments ago before he got into his craft that they worked on the boat. They tweaked it all night. They had a great practice run this morning. He loves his chances in this heat.
And finally, Greg Hopp is at the controls of the Fairweather Sports presents the U100 boat, the Miss Toyota. They had a second place finish yesterday, so we'll keep an eye on that boat as well. Pat O'Day, we've got a new day of racing, and we've got some wind out here, but we've got sunny skies. Perfect, at least for the fans.
Well, we've got 3 equally matched boats between Steve David and Nate Brown and Terry Troxel and the Encore and the Alberto and the Elam. And in just a moment, people at home are going to see, I think, the most exciting picture in televised motorsports as Chopper 7 looks down on the course as they cluster in the north end and then come down that chute at 175 miles an hour. There's nothing in sports that equals it.
Well, they vie for the slots inside, and the wind continues to blow. And with that, let's turn it over to the man who will be calling the races for us all day today, the voice of Unlimited Hydroplanes, Mike Fitzsimmons.
Steve, thank you very much. That wind was at the start-finish line. You were looking at that yellow flag, and Steve David, as you notice, look at the wake that he left. He snaked all over the place on this race course inside what they call the DMZ, demilitarized zone. Again, the boats are up here just a little bit on the early side, and Chip, this short run to the start-finish line, for some reason, the last couple, 3 years, especially when we're fighting for lanes, has been something of a confusion for our drivers.
It has been, and if you look right now at the Alberto boat with Steve David, he's way early. Now, if that boat boat goes off a plane, he can get a penalty bid. He's as early as I've ever seen anybody at this start.
He wanted the inside lane, and he thought the better of it because he knew if he was there, he'd virtually have to row the boat around the north turn, and that wasn't going to work for him. He's trying to come down. He's right there in the center left of your screen, and he just is not running very quickly right at the moment. The other boats are starting to throttle up a little bit. Perhaps the guy with the best position for the start is J. Michael Kelly on the fourth lane position. Inside, we're going to have the Fairweather Sports presents the Toyota of Kirkland, and then it's the Elam in a good lane too. They're across the line. We're going to check this though. We may have some questionable possibilities as far as a jumper over the line this time. But you see Terry Troxell, has he left enough room? It looks like he's left just enough room, and he's tightening down just as he should chip through that first corner.
That's a beautiful corner. Look how everybody is evenly spaced. That was a good clean corner, but I'm thinking that start could be one or maybe two jumpers. What do you think?
I think it could be as many as two. You're right. Lots of wind down the back chute, and the Elam is carrying some of it under as he is being challenged by Greg Hopp from the inside and by Steve David from the outside as they go into that corner again. Everybody's safe through those first two places.
Terry Troxell's got a
We got somebody. We got a problem. We got somebody over. Red flags are going to be displayed. They're going to shut these boats down.
Who can you tell who it is, Mike?
It's up in the corner there.
It's the M-Corps.
It is M-Corps.
It is M-Corps. That's Nate Brown. That's he went over it. Right, what happened was he was up at the north corner. He's getting the wind right from the north coming out of like right about the Mount Baker area, and it probably got under that right side. I didn't see him start to go over, but I'll bet you the wind just got under that right side.
I wasn't able to see him either from this position, but this is exactly what we were talking about. The boat that's outside, not necessarily leading, but is protected by the rooster tails, by the inside boats. When he points his nose into that wind, that's when he's entirely vulnerable, and that's exactly what happened. We have the M-Corps upside down.
You know, I talked to Nate this morning, and we talked about that I thought the most important thing to do today was to keep the front end down and just use the engine. Don't try to fly the boat, but just use the power.
And I believe, is that what I see there? Do I see Nate Brown already outside the boat?
You do. He is climbing out. He's helped himself out of the boat. He did not come out of the underside hatch. He appears to have come out of the regular hatch, and he has climbed over the canard now. But he looks like he needs an assist.
Does he have anything on board to keep him afloat right now, Chip?
No. What happened when we went to the closed cockpits, we got rid of the life jackets. And that's a good question, Steve, because if the boat's upside down and you're wearing a life jacket, that's going to hold you up in there, and it might be hard to get you out.
I wonder if his canopy was damaged when he went over for him to come out that way.
Well, it certainly can, Pat, because I've had a few that literally came off. And let's talk about this guy's, luck lately. He got a call to come in and substitute for the Gold Cup. He wins the Gold Cup after a controversy with Dave Villwock. He comes here home to Seattle. In the first heat, he's upside down. So he's had a pretty traumatic summer.
Now, a couple of things we need to keep in mind here. First of all, congrats to the crews on board the safety boats. They were there literally within a minute after that boat going over. Those frogmen were in the water, and now the safety officials are all over that boat. So that's one good thing. Secondly, we have seen boats go over on this very race course and come back and race later in the day.
Not only race, we saw Mark Evans come back and win. You know, the other thing I'd like to say, there's been so much about the controversy between, the different race sites. The rescue crew has been the same rescue crew no matter who was sponsoring the race, and everybody puts safety aside when it comes to controversy. That's a good thing.
I want to mention something else, too. The speed with which they bring Nate Brown back to the pit area is no indication whatsoever of his condition. You've got virtually, with these rescue people, the equivalent of an emergency room out on the water. They can do almost anything. And so the speed with which they bring him back, and you might consider, well, gee, he must be hurt or something. We don't know. He's getting up on his own feet, so it can't possibly be that much. He's walking on the bottom of his own race boat. He appears to be all right. He's waving.
That is a big sign, because normally these guys, even when you want to get up and walk, they won't let you. They force you into that. So they must be really assured that he's fine.
Right. They did not put him on the backboard. That's a good sign. He walked on to the safety boat, and he'll be brought back in now. Again, he looked like he had a bit of a limp, but we will certainly chat with him. We're going to watch some replays here in just a second as soon as we get the
want to show you the damage to the sponson prongs. We've got hull damage on both of the sponsons on this boat. Nate appears to be okay, but this boat is not okay. And as we mentioned, that is the part circled there is the black running surface, but right up on the nose of the sponsons, you will see that the deck has been breached from the sponsons itself, and cut down just a little bit. There you go, right there, that split there, and we may have some problems with respect to the structural integrity of this boat that we didn't have. The canard is also gone, as you can see, and so we may have a little bit more damage to this boat than was the case a few years ago when they were able to repair one and bring it back out to win.
All right, Mike and Chip, let's take a look now at just exactly what happened. They were coming over in your end of the track there, Mike, coming up at the north end of the
That's right,
course.
vulnerable place. You're looking for the boat. There is the M-Core right on the center left of your screen. He's going to ride up a rooster tail. You watch him here. He's going to get into the rooster tail. He starts to ride up. That picks up the boat. Now he's exposed to the wind. Watch what happens. Bingo. Up goes the right sponge, and just as Chip described it, around in a quick corkscrew flip, and it's all over.
So what I think we saw is a number of things that took place to make that happen. Maybe we can even go back and look at it again. What happens is the water from the rooster tail starts to get the boat up in the air. So now you've presented more of the bottom to the air. Then you've got these boats are built, remember, to always make left turns. So the weight is more weighted on the left side to make them go around those corners. Now the right side is lighter because everything's weighted to go around the corner. But let's take another look at it here and see if we can analyze it. So here we see him here. And now he's going to start getting into the rooster tail. That's going to get the boat up in the air and present more of the bottom to the wind, which is coming from this direction. So up the right side it goes. He lands. And it looked like he landed on the left sponson, Mike. Is that what you said?
It looked that way, but it looks like he also had one roll there, a couple of quick splashes there after he comes down the first time. So that would indicate the kind of damage that the boat has.
Mike, let's find out what's going on in the M-Core pits, or the M-Core pits right now in our Greg England. Greg?
Yeah, Steve, I'm in the truck here with team owner Kim Gregory. And Kim, first of all, you've gotten word that Nate seems to be okay.
Yeah, he got himself out evidently before the rescue crew got there, so he's okay.
You had a chance to look at the replay. I know Nate was concerned about the wind. He told me that going in. You think this was a wind thing, or what do you think?
No, he got into, it looks like Truxell's rooster tail. We were in lane 2. Truxell was in 3, and it looks like he sawed it kind of tight. I don't know whether they'll make a call. I don't know whether it was, Nate's fault or what, but it looked like he had no place to go.
Go ahead.
Once it gets in the rooster tail, it's going over.
You've been in this game a while. What goes through your mind, through the camp's mind, when your boat, your guy out there
Just one thing, making sure the driver's okay. I don't care about the boat. I just want to make sure the driver's okay. And as long as the driver's okay, we can fix the boat. So it's got a really good cockpit. We're proud of that cockpit. We put that cockpit in the boat after George Stratton got killed, but that's the only thing I care about.
Kim, thanks a lot. We thank you for your time, and hopefully they can get that boat back there on the water today, guys.
All right, Greg, thanks very much. We want to find out from one of the drivers firsthand what it was like out there on that course. And in fact, it sounds like whose rooster tail was run over, and that was Terry Troxell. Bill Rocky's with him.
Thanks, Steve. Terry, first of all, what was it like in the backstretch out there?
Really, the water's not bad. I mean, it's rough, but it's rough all over. It's rough all over even. There's a few rollers in the top corner, and I guess Nate found one of them.
Did you see anything of what happened?
No, I saw him in my rearview mirror. I figured we had him by 4, maybe 5 bow lengths, and I left him a lane, and he probably just couldn't hold it.
So he had plenty of room out there?
I believe so, yeah.
What do you think? Is it dangerous out there? Is it to the point where it's fine? Huh?
It's better than I've been in Seattle before.
It is blowing a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's fine. The water's great.
Well, the good news is it sounds like Nate's going to be okay.
Yeah, well, that's the big deal.
Let me give you at home an idea of what's going to happen now. We're going to run Heat 2B in just a few minutes, and then they will have a restart on Heat 2A. I want to go out to our Pat O'Day out at the start-finish line. Pat, fortunately or unfortunately, as the case may be, you have seen far too many of these accidents as Nate Brown is now coming ashore.
Well, and I'm so glad to see Nate walking and looking in reasonably good condition.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
Yeah, he just did a handstand and then went, ouch. Anyway, when Dean was lost in 1982, I think all of us were just so frustrated. And now we've had 22 years later, we did have one fatality. But still, when these boats strike the angle or strike the water at these peculiar angles at these speeds, guard, you take it. But, there's always that chance. But thank God for the new safety innovations, guard.
All right, Nate, everybody wants to know, how are you feeling right now? Man, that was pretty ugly out there.
Yeah, no kidding. And I was going to use another expletive for that, but I can't because I'm on live TV, right?
You're right.
Yeah, I don't like those, especially when you got to breathe and you feel heavy stuff hitting your head. And I think I broke my left toe, but that's no big deal. And But it's okay. It's sore. It's bleeding, but I'm going to go to the trailer and get it fixed out. But this is one proof for sure. Oh, my mom and dad in swim? I'm fine, you guys. Okay, I love y'all.
You racing the rest of the day?
I don't know. The boat, I know, came apart. I was picking pieces out of the cockpit, so.
Tell me what was going through your mind. It looked like you caught a rooster tail there.
Yeah, Terry squeezed me down a little bit. It was probably not intentional or whatever, and I was trying for it and kind of got caught up in it and blew over a tail. It's kind of a flop over. It wasn't like I was going all that fast. I was only doing about 180 or so.
No matter how many times you flip, man, it's always scary, isn't it?
Oh, there is no doubt about that. You don't like those things at all. You don't like them. This is proof, one thing. Cats don't like water.
You know what? You're in great spirits, though, my friend.
You got to be. It's just a boat race. In the big picture, I'm fine. I'm sorry I damaged Kim Gregory's boat. The Miss IMCOR team is a great team. We had a really good shot at it here this weekend, and I like to think I'm easy on equipment, but this weekend it was kind of tough on equipment. So I apologize to the Gregorys for crashing this thing out there, but I was sure going for it. We had to get in the final, but it's going to be tough now. I don't know how bad the boat is.
Let me tell you this. Nobody gives a rip about the boat. Everybody's happy that Nate Brown's all right.
Oh, well, thanks a lot, you guys. Thanks a lot, Seattle.
All right. I'm kind of worried about the boat a little bit, Nate. He's flipping.
All right, let's go racing. Heat 2B is coming up here in just a few moments, and here are the headlines for this race. And there's the man, Dave Villwock, the Budweiser boat, an easy winner yesterday. What about today? The young and the hungry. J.W. Myers, one of them in the Lumar boat. Rookie drivers abounding and winning in a surprise, the Beacon boat, Heat 1A. What'll happen today? Coming up, Heat 2B. Let's give you the rundown of the boats now in Heat 2B. There's the Budweiser boat, the U1, the Lumar window film, the Silver Dollar Casino, Miss Rock, Miss Beacon Plumbing, and the U00 Skyway Park Bowl and Casino. Dave Villwock, champion many times over here in Seattle, Chip.
Well, Dave, like the other drivers, after what they just saw, I think that's a big reminder too. This is an elimination heat. I'm just going to get through it. I don't think we're going to see any heroics from Dave Villwock today.
Bill Rocky is following the Bud in the pits. Any special instructions to the pilot down there, Bill?
Well, as you know, Dave likes this rough water, and he was telling us all week he was hoping it was rough as it could be. I talked to him about the accident out there, and he said that he learned a couple things he watched what we had on there, and he learned a couple things. And so I think he's comfortable with these conditions and what the situation is as far as him driving.
Well, certainly no team is better prepared for any eventuality than the Budweiser team. Here we go. Here's the U8. This is the Lumar window film, and this is a guy that, Mike, is one of the real up-and-comers in this business, J.W. Myers.
Boy, sure is, and he did not do well in his first heat yesterday, and given the conditions out here, he has a bit of pressure on him because he's got to serve some kind of notice to the so-called faster boats to beat that he's in the hunt. And he's going to have to do it in this particular heat. So there's a bit of a monkey on the back of J.W. Myers in this one.
The Unlimited Rookie of the Year just a year ago. The U25 boat, the Silver Dollar Casino, Miss Rock, and Dr. Ken Muscatel. We talk about him, the world's fastest forensic psychologist. Chip?
I think Ken, along with everybody else, needs to just remember these points that they're gathering right now are just to get them to the final. There's no money at stake here, so I think you're going to see Ken, like the other drivers, just be very conservative.
Greg England is in that pits, and Greg, they don't have a lot of parts on that team, so they really do have to take care of this boat, don't they?
They do, and in fact, Ken's worried about the wind out there. He told me this morning during testing his right sponson was floating up along the back stretch there. In Ken's words, it's ugly out there.
Well, there are days that it's never pretty out on Lake Washington when it comes to boat racing. Here's the U99, the Beacon Plumbing. I love their saying, stop freaking, call Beacon. And the Steve Hook, again, another one of those young, exciting drivers.
What I really liked about the way Steve Hook drove his first heat on Lake Washington yesterday was that he let the race come to him. He worked the angles, if you will, kept the pressure on, but didn't overdrive his race boat and waited for circumstances to unfold in his favor. That's a sign of a smart driver.
And finally, in this heat, the U00, the Skyway Park Bowl and Casino, Doug Brow at the controls. We'll see how he manages to handle. Didn't have a lot of speed yesterday. We'll see how he handles these choppy waters as well. And as we continue to let these boats now start to pull away from the pits, work their way out to the course. Pat O'Day, we've seen some exciting racing already, almost a full lap of it.
Fred Leland loves a heat like this because Fred calls his boats his barges. He builds them to stay in the water, and they may have an advantage. We're talking about Doug Brow. He's been scrounging around Friday Harbor all week, getting financial help from people to be in this race today, from Kings Market and everybody up there. So it's fun to see these rookies out there on the course and the effort that has gone into this race.
I think, Mike, for those folks like you who've seen most all these races, it's interesting to note that the boats are something different in almost every stop that they make along the way.
It's absolutely the case, and that's what makes it all so much fun. About 13 different businesses up there, Friday Harbor, put their decal on Doug's boat this afternoon, and
Doug strong arms everybody on Main Street.
Yeah, he was very successful. Well, anyway, let's now watch as we have a little bit of time to see this unfold. This is the dicing time. And it's particularly interesting because of the weather conditions here. Folks don't want to be real fast and on the outside. That's just not a good place. Even if you have to be a little bit slower, Chip, and on the inside, that's a little safer.
Yeah, and let's remember, you do have to go faster on the outside simply because you have a farther distance to go. So being on the inside, you can be a little more conservative, where if you're on the outside, you got to wring that boat out for everything you can, and we saw what the result of that can be.
And so that means that as we watch the second year of the sophomore driver, J.W. Myers, who has so much promise, as he's got boat speed to burn with this boat and has had in the past and has demonstrated some real strength as a shoe out there. He's going to be watching Dave Villwalk, and Dave is moving up to the upper half of the race course right now. And right away, you see J.W. there making his way up to join Dave Villwalk. I think he's going to keep an eye on Dave. In fact, right now, he's gone to the inside of the course to try to keep Dave outside of him.
And I really don't understand that. I never wanted to show my hand what I was going to do to get the inside until the final heat. And I don't know that that's what JW is doing. But right now is the time to just let the other guy do what he wants to do. Find a lane that comes to you. Don't force an issue. Just take a lane that's open, get the points, get into the final, and then throw everything you have at them.
Now they're scrambling in the infield right now, and they played a little guessing game with each other, and watch them if we have the camera on them, as Villwalk's still trying for that #1 slot, and JW wants to get inside him. I don't know if he's going to be able to or not.
But let me tell you a little story. These guys tried this over in Tri-Cities, and Dave Villwalk gave JW a schooling. And JW didn't forget it. And he's going to still think, now he's going to make a left turn, I think, down here and try to get inside Dave, who may go all the way around the buoys. They're in the DMZ, so they'll all have to go around now.
What you just saw there was Jack Brow dead in the water there. He went down about 30 seconds ago. I didn't see anybody near him. It must be just a mechanical failure.
Yeah, he's in the infield, and he's off the field of play, so to speak, although the wind is a factor and could push him into the course. But he's inside at the moment, and the officials are aware that he's there, and they're going to watch him carefully. Well, now the boats are actually in not a bad position at all, Chip, as they make their back chute run down to the last arc for the start.
Right. What you want to do is you want to be coming out of the south turn at about 1 minute. And you're right, Mike, they're right at 1 minute. They want to be heading into the north turn, the entrance of the north turn, at right around 30 seconds. And I think they're right on schedule for that.
And you'll notice that Muscatel has decided he wants the inside lane again. As you remarked yesterday, Muscatel doesn't usually do that. He's got confidence in this boat, but he also knows about that wind, and it was picking up his sponson, so he's thinking, hey, I'm going to try to get a fast start here and to get out of trouble as quickly as possible.
I'm beginning to think Ken Muscatel needs a psychologist, because he's driving more aggressively than I've ever seen him. He needs therapy, that man.
Right away, he is, and this is a sign. I'll tell you, over at Tri-Cities, he looked really, really strong, and then he had a gearbox problem, and he was out of it, and unfortunately, that robbed him of what could have been a great day. He's got a good arc there, and his timing is good.
It's going to be a good start.
I think it is. Got some speed out on the outside now. It's going to be Steve Hook in that Beacon Hill Plumbing where he must start because of the rules. Muscatel on the inside. Next to him, that's Miss Budweiser, the Lumar, the yellow boat, the center screen, the green boat. On the outside is the Beacon Plumbing, and here they come down to the start. It's a good, clean start, and Dave Villwalk and J.W. Myers hooking up.
You know, that's the way a start should be done. They got to the boat instead of crawling up there with no speed. These guys got on the throttles early. They hit the boat line or the starting line with a lot of boat speed, and that that's the way a Spart's supposed to be.
Okay, everybody got through that corner without getting winded too badly, but the Budweiser did get some air under it, and Dave Villwock up the back chute. Look at Muscatel on the inside also. He's in there as well on the inside of the Budweiser, and JW is working him from the outside. We got a good boat race going in this upper corner.
We do, and you know what's been interesting is Dave Villwock seems to be getting the inside whenever he wants it. He did it yesterday. He was in the second lane today, so these guys have got to find a way to move Dave to the outside if they're going to beat the Miss Budweiser. As I said yesterday, you don't beat the Budweiser from the outside.
Budweiser, your leader, is coming down to get the mark of the first lap at 137.680 miles an hour. Great battle between J.W. Myers and Ken Muscatel right now for second place. A great battle. The two of them are just neck and neck, and there's a wake between them. J.W. is going to pinch down just a little bit. There's a risk in doing that because he has to ride the slop from the Budweiser.
I have never seen Ken Muscatel drive like this. He did it yesterday. He's doing it again today. This is a Ken Muscatel that I've never seen, and I have a feeling about Ken that maybe this is his last year, and I think he's really going to put a lot into it this year to make a statement.
He's got a lot of air under the boat as he comes up that back chute at the present time. The Budweiser with a commanding lead, Muscatel and JW side by side. Great looking pictures from Cairo as you see those two boats just rocket into that north corner, and they are bouncing around on those waves. And O'Day, this looks great.
And in the back of the pack, we have one Mr. Hook starting to reel him in. He's getting closer and closer, but you're right, Muscatel's driving the race of his life right here.
And you know, the thing that Ken's got to deal with now, because he's inside and Dave's out front, Ken Muscatel is running in the water of the Budweiser. You see the wake right here? Well, that's the water that Ken Muscatel has to run into that JW doesn't. See, JW now can go outside of that wake. Well, actually, he's running right. They're both getting inside of it. But again, I'm flabbergasted. I have never seen Ken Muscatel drive like this.
He is driving well. He truly is. And on the outside, J.W. Myers, he is trying to keep him in the sights. J.W. has more boat speed down the back chute right now. As you see from the outside, he's got maybe a boat length lead, but the inside track, of course, the shorter way around the race course. Now J.W. is making a nice move. Oh, and Ken has struck a buoy. Ken has struck a buoy, but it does not look like he dislodged it. We'll see what happened with that. But J.W. pushed him inside just a little bit, and now we've got a great drag race for the start-finish line.
You know, and the rule on that is you can touch a buoy, you can move a buoy, but you can't dislodge the buoy. If you hit the buoy such that it is no longer a course marker, then you're disqualified. But apparently he didn't hit it that hard.
The buoy is all right, say the officials. Muscatel is still legal out there, and he's got a great battle going with J.W. Myers through that lower corner. Look at those two boats side by side. Out front, of course, Miss Budweiser on her way to another checkered flag. But here's Ken Muscatel putting the pedal to the metal. J.W. has got some boat speed, too, and he's not going to let that go by. Here he comes now. He draws alongside. What a great battle up into the north corner now.
I'm just amazed. And Ken not only is driving well, but he looks like he's got a boat that's handling very well. And you can't drive aggressive unless you got a boat that'll take care of you. Boy, it's going to be close, Mike. What do you think?
It is going to be close, and we'll see. Here's the checkered flag for Miss Budweiser. She'll take the win, but let's see if Ken Muscatel can hold off J.W. Myers. They are virtually side by side right now. Myers puts the foot down, and it looks like he'll nose out Ken Muscatel at the start-finish line by a couple of boat lengths.
Wow, a really well done race by both drivers. They didn't interfere with each other. JW tightened it up on him. He made him, you know, hold his arc. He didn't just give him the whole corner, but they both did a great job. The Budweiser, I don't know, they just don't look like a boat that qualified only fifth. I mean, they really look like they're running well, and they're going to be tough to beat. And as I said earlier, you're not going to beat the Budweiser running like this from the outside. These drivers, all of them, as a group, have got to figure out how to get Dave to the outside at the start.
And when it comes to handling, no boat has looked better on the water, wind or no wind, than this Budweiser has in its last two outings yesterday and today. But the real action, of course, was for second. And J.W. Myers is, I know that Chip is high on him as well as I am. This is a good driver who's showing me some great moves in his sophomore year.
You know, Steve Hook started to make a run on him, but the Lumar and Ken Muscatel were just running so hot and so fast, he finally decided to settle back and take that fourth place.
And I think he had the power to catch him if he wanted to. That's just smart driving. This is a long race.
Absolutely.
Anything can happen. Let it come to you.
The other thing you have to remember is Steve Hook won yesterday, so he had a lot of points. He doesn't need to really do all that much today because he got that first place yesterday. So what he needs is some, you know, third, 4th place finishes, he's in the final.
Well, that Black Miss Rock and Ken Muscatel just showed you the best heat of racing in Ken's career.
That's absolutely right.
And I'm sure that whole team is excited about it. The Budweiser, it may seem like they win all the time, and it just comes with the territory and that they don't get excited. But you know they're happy in this, their swan song year. Let's go down to Bill Rocky in the Budweiser camp.
I'm with Joe Little here. And Joe, you're 2 for 2 so far. It's rough out there, though, isn't it?
I tell you, it's real rough. And we talked about the weather all weekend. I heard that it was going to be windy today, and I tell you, it really gives us an advantage. Dave and the boat ride so well in rough water. I think you've seen that in the past, and the wind blows, it gives us a definite advantage.
And we've all been talking about Dave's getting great starts.
He's an expert at it, and I don't think there's anybody any better.
All right, thanks, Joe. Steve?
We see the Lumar, the MCOR boat, upside down right in front of the pits now, has been literally towed in to the pit area, and it is the boat that Nate Brown, of course, went over in just a little bit earlier. Bill Rocky now has the winning driver, Dave Villwock.
All right, thanks, Steve. Dave, what's it like out there? You got 2 wins.
Well, it's nice and rough, and I'm kind of liking it. So I think the wind chops actually knocked down some of the roller action that we've seen here in the past. So that was good, having to get a good start, and the boat ran good over the water. So that's what we're hoping for. We're hoping for some wind, and I think we got it today. I think Bernie's up there blowing right now. Bernie's up there blowing as hard as he can.
We've all been talking about your starts. They're letting you get that inside, aren't they?
Well, I think everybody knows that it's pretty rough right now, and it's a preliminary heat, and so J-Dub and I are running around together there for a while, and and I think people just want to be safe and get a good lane and then go from there.
How was that turn out there where Nate flipped? What's it like?
It's pretty rough, but it's pretty rough all over. The wind's blowing in from that side. It's going to lift that right sponson. So, but I don't know that the wind had anything to do with that accident. I think it was probably rooster tails and skid fins that looked like on TV.
All right, Dave, keep it going. Good day so far. Dave Villwock, he's got 2 wins.
And we're back to racing Heat 2A, actually the restart of Heat 2A, and it restarted because of the MCOR boat went over, damaged, will not return. Nate Brown, though, is all right. The Alberto boat, the sausage boat, how will they do? They're a pretty fast boat today. Let's see if Steve David keeps that one on the water. And the Miss Elam is on track. The orange boat buckling in, ready to go racing in Heat 2A. And let's get right to the lineups. As you see, the boats are still scoring up with a little more than a minute to go.
As we watch them come up, we have a number of wakes in that south turn they just left there that we're going to watch as they come in there for the first time under racing speed, because that flotilla of boats that has returned to the logboom has left some alien wakes in that area, and so there's a lot of chop down there in addition to that which was already there. And so we're going to have to be very, very careful about getting through that first turn, and I know it's going to be kind of quick down there, so we'll watch that and be sure they get through there all right. Right at the moment, again, they were just a tad to the early side, Chip.
Yeah,
came up a little too fast.
But they've got it pretty much corrected. They're about 5 seconds early, but they can scrub that off. And it looks like Terry Troxel is going to be in lane 2. And the way that boat's running, I think that should be a great place for him to be.
It will be Greg Hopp in lane number 1. It'll be Terry Troxel in lane number 2. It appears as they come around the arc. Steve David in the Oh Boy Alberto in lane number 3. And J. Michael Kelly on the outside in the Seattle boat presents Graham Trucking. They're coming to the line, and their timing is a little quick. They're going to have to back down just a little bit.
Look at the rookie.
Troxel may be too soon. Troxel may be too soon. We may have 3 of them too soon.
I think our rookie might have just won himself a heat, because I think the first 3 boats are over, and our rookie, who I pointed out there on the far outside, J. Michael Kelly, might be the only legal boat.
I think you're right, Chip.
That appears to be the case indeed, and all 3 of those guys were just too quick.
You know, we talked about earlier in the day that the veterans seem to be making mistakes, and the rookies seem to be shining bright, and here we go again.
Now, this race basically is for second place from here on out, because J. Michael Kelly knows, he's been radioed, you're the legal guy, so you don't have to do any racing out here. Just don't let anybody go by you. They got 3/4 of a course to do that. And so that means that Terry Troxel, having made that mistake, is going to have to drive very, very quickly in order to stay out front and pick up second place points. Right behind behind him. Greg Hopp across the line at the end of lap number 1, and Steve David is third across the line.
But there's our leader, J. Michael Kelly, and what he showed, so much poise, because he had 3 guys inside of him. He had 3 guys way out in front of him, and most rookies would go, well, I must be wrong. Everybody else must be right. But he believed in himself. He stayed back, and right now he's going to win an unlimited hydroplane heat at Seafair.
And Chip, that's a famous sort of a move that the pros make on the rookies, try to get them to think that they'd forgotten to do something, and he didn't buy it, not for a second. And Troxel, unfortunately, tried to push him with it, so did Steve David, and they're both paying for it. Troxel out front physically, running second place, in fact, on the race course. He comes down after a first lap of 138.7 miles an hour. Let's see how he does on this one. He comes down at a little faster speed of 140.094, the fastest lap so far on Lake Washington this afternoon.
And it's all for nothing, and that's what a driver brings. As a driver, you can have the fastest boat in the world, but if you don't use your head, if you don't think for yourself, it's all for nothing. And here's a young guy who grew up racing outboards here in Seattle in the Seattle Outboard Association, who at 25 years of age had enough poise to let the veterans step all over themselves, and he's going to win.
Terry Troxel down the back chute, well out in front of everybody else, except that he's physically in second place, way behind the first place boat, which is J. Michael Kelly in the Seattle boat, presents Graham Trucking. Troxel, of course, trying to keep some distance from the other 2 boats. Right now, Stephen David in third and fourth. We've got a good battle in the north turn. Stephen David on the inside and Greg Hopp on the outside, but we just had the center buoy of the upper pin, the entrance buoy, rather, the upper turn has been struck, and it appears Steve David was the guy who did it, so he may be incurring the wrath of the officials a second time here.
I mean, let's think about this for a minute. We had Ken Muscatel, an old veteran, make a mistake. We've had Troxel make a couple of mistakes. We had Nate Brown go over, and the rookies are shining bright here and staying out of trouble. And in the final heat, you keep thinking like that, driving your own race, you could find yourself with a Chevrolet Cup real easy.
One more lap to go now for the U2, the Graham Trucking. We've got the Elam Plus coming out of the north corner and the Oberto heading in. It was the center pin of the north turn, not the entrance pin, but it's gone, and there's going to be a penalty paid for that.
That's called the apex pin, and that's usually the one that gets struck because that's the center of the corner. That's where you start heading the other direction, and that's when the guys really cut close.
And Stephen David has been assessed another lap penalty as a result of that, so he's not having a very good day out here on Lake Washington at all. You know, Mr. Kelly certainly is.
He is, and you know, I have never seen J. Michael drive a boat before, but for the last few weeks, I have heard from people that I truly believe in as a great judge of talent say that this kid is something special, and he just showed me that he can think for himself.
Here's your winner, the checkered flag out for J. Michael Kelly driving Seattle Boat presents Graham Trucking, a second rookie victory on Lake Washington in this Chevrolet Cup.
You know, I talked to our statistician this morning, and I said, you know, it might be fun to keep track of the 3 veterans that we have here and 3 rookies we have here. At the end of the day, let's see who's got the most points. So maybe we're kind of keeping an informal log here of how many points the rookies have garnered versus the veterans, and this may be the changing of the guard we're witnessing here.
All right, your third place boat across the line now is the U100. That's the Fairweather Sports presents the Toyota of Kirkland. Greg Hopp gets third place points, and going around one more time is number 6, the old boy Oberto.
You know, Chip and Mike, at the beginning of the day, we said that Heat 2A might be the most exciting heat of the day. Well, in the end, in the first try at running it, Nate Brown went upside down, and then we had 3 boats jump the gun in the rerun, and we had one boat hit a buoy. Everything that could happen has happened here in 2A of the 2004 Chevrolet Cup at Seafair.
Well, there you see the Seattle boats, Graham Trucking with the youngster J. Michael Kelly, the 1998 grad. I've got shoes that old. 1998 grad of Kent Meridian High School, and he's out here winning heats in the unlimited hydroplanes as some of the veteran drivers are still finishing up their laps. What a thrill this must be for a young driver and for a veteran boat owner like Jim Harvey. Our Greg England has been in the pits with that team. Is he there ready to go with Jim?
We're right here with Jim Harvey. By the way, he's the man that decided to hand over a $400,000 boat to a 25-year-old rookie. You made the right call, it looks like.
Well, when I first did it 2 weeks ago, there was some apprehension, but there isn't anymore. This boy's a boat racer, and we're proud to be part of it. It'd be in our organization, and who would have thunk? I mean, you know, yesterday the boat ride was terrible, and today it settled down, and I thought we actually broke on the start because we were going so slow, but it was his timing. It was perfect, right on.
That says a lot about Mike. That shows some poise there, doesn't it?
Well, I guess if he's been racing since 9 years old, you know, and he's 25 now, that he had to learn something along the way, and apparently he learned how to start.
And he said he just started feeling comfortable really this morning, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah. I got to see this. Hold on just a second.
Go ahead. Go enjoy it with your crew, Jim. You guys deserve it. Absolutely.
We got to teach him how to park the boat. But other than that, you know, I think Jim Harvey will let him off on that.
And how much of a thrill is that for not only for Jim Harvey, but certainly for J. Michael?
But you know, a real racer, I'll bet you he's not all that excited, because a real racer doesn't get that excited about winning an elimination heat. I think this kid thinks about winning the whole thing, and I think he's happy, but more than not, I think he's thinking about the final. He's that kind of racer.
You made mention that he came pretty much right out of outboards, almost directly over to Unlimited.
He did. The typical path is to be in outboards for 5 to 10 years and then go to the lights or the limited inboards for 5 to 10 years, but he spent very little time in the limited inboards or the lights. He went directly from outboards pretty much to the Unlimited, and that means some people really saw something special here.
While there's lots of congratulations going on that finger pier and with that boat and driver, what are the other boat owners and crew chiefs saying to the other drivers in this race?
Well, you know, they've got some egg on their face here. We're seeing veterans making a lot of mistakes. A lot of years you and I have sat here and said, well, there's a rookie mistake, but he'll learn not to do that. But look who's shining bright here. It's the young guys.
Well, let's hear from that young guy right there, J. Michael Kelly. He's with our Greg England.
Well, he's getting some work on, you know, you need some veteran help trying to get that helmet off here, huh? Hey, it's hot. Hey, that was a hot run for you. You weren't fooled by the old veterans coming off the start there.
I saw them coming up early, and I held back, and I knew right away they were going to be early, so I just radioed back to my guy and, you know, just to make sure, and sure enough, they did.
We talked this morning about when you were a kid. Of course, you grew up in Kent. You live in Puyallup now. You watched Seafair as a kid. What does it mean to you to come out here and get a heat win?
It's pretty awesome. Never in a million years did I ever think that this would be possible, and just to have this opportunity, it's awesome.
A great team here. You got an owner that trusting a 25-year-old guy with this big, expensive boat. Talk about your team here and how hard you guys have worked to get together in just a couple weeks' time.
Oh, this team, I can't say enough for this team. This team's awesome. You know, at the shop and out of the shop, these guys are fun to hang with, and without the guys, this wouldn't be possible. We wouldn't be out there. So, and same with our sponsors.
What do you think it says about some of the rookie guys doing well out here? We had a win yesterday for Steve. You get a win today. The young guys are hanging pretty well with some of the veterans. It's good for the sport, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. You know, I can't, you know, I don't know what to say. It's pretty cool. So.
It's very cool. Congratulations, guys. Back to you.
He'll learn to talk, believe me, folks. The hardest part is he knows how to drive. Give him some time, and he'll be knocking these interviews down, too. But I'm sure he's pretty much overwhelmed by all of this.
Well, I'm certain he is, and well, he should be. And there's also some other conversation going on in other pits, and our guard Swanson has Terry Troxell to talk about what happened to some of the veteran drivers. Guard?
Question you right off the bat is what happened at the start? A little aggressive there, huh? 3 boats going right to the start.
I guess. I mean, I thought we were right there, but they said we were over, so we're over.
And then once that happened, you knew you got dinged a lap. Was it just about keeping in second place and just getting the points?
I think it's a 1 minute penalty, and we're trying to get the 1 minute penalty back if we could.
But you still got the points.
Right. So we got the second place points. That's good for us. We wanted the win, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So it feels pretty good?
Yeah, it feels good, okay. Because now Mr. Bernard Little, he can look down and see it was a good race. And then Mr. Ole Bardal, he take care about the God of the thunder and God of the wind and looking down at us too, okay?
You're just kind of playing it safe right now, getting through these heats, choppy water, and staying afloat.
Yeah, we went first and second, so we got 2 seconds. So we're on our way.
All right, good luck the rest of the way. Guys, back to you in the booth.
All right, guard, thanks very much. Bill Rocky also in the pits. Bill, what do you have? We're here with Steve
David with some loud vintage boats going out here. Steve, that was a tough heat for you. First of all, the start.
Yeah, we thought, you know, there's 3 of us across. We thought we pretty much nailed it, but I guess the photo must have shown we were a little over.
Right. And then you hit a buoy.
Yeah, I had no room to go. That blue boat kind of pushed me to the inside, and it was hit a buoy or take him out, and I chose the softer object.
So the way this is going, you need some points, don't you?
It's got a tough day on the Alberto. Yeah, we got to win a heat, or we're gonna have to win the Kinda to get the Alberto to the final.
All right, Steve. Good luck the rest of the way. Steve, let's go back up to you.
All right, thanks very much, Bill Rocky, that is. And we take a look at the unofficial results as the boats again, the vintage boats are heading out to the water. That's the noise you hear. We were all looking around. Here's your unofficial results with the Seattle boats, Graham Trucking, and J. Michael Kelly, the rookie, unofficially the winner of Heat 2A. Well, we're ready to go racing again. Heat 3A in the unlimited class. The big boats, the turbines, and here we go. Who needs points as we come into this Heat 3A? Well, the Alberto is certainly one of them. How's the Beacon Plumbing boat doing? Well, they won Heat 1A. Steve Hook, he's a hero with his team. And how about Dr. Ken Muscatel? Not having a bad day for the world's fastest forensic psychologist. It's Heat 3A. Well, here's your lineup for Heat 3A. The Skyway Park Bowl and Casino, Old Boy Alberto, Miss Beacon Plumbing, Silver Dollar Casino, Miss Rock, and the Lumar Window Film, the U8 boat.
I think the race to watch is going to be between Alberto and the Lumar because these guys are both desperate for points. This might as well be a final for them. They got to win here.
That's exactly the scenario that I was thinking too, Chip. And as a matter of fact, both of those guys have keyed on each other during this score-up. JW won the score-up battle, if you will. He got the inside lane. Second lane, it's going to be the U6, the Old Boy Alberto. It appears that the Skyway Park with Doug Brow will be on the third lane slot. And bringing up the outside is going to be the rookie, Steve Hook, in the Beacon Plumbing. They are terribly early right now. They're going to have to back off here. We could have a jumping situation again. 2 seconds, 1 second. Looks like they'll be okay. Steve David got across the line. It's a good start, and he had the lead coming across the line. He timed it perfectly, but he was down on power, which means the other guys that were throttling up are going to be able to catch him.
But he's in a very good position right here out in front. But look at J.W. Myers on the inside. He's gonna equalize it by the time they come out of that corner.
And J.W. Myers is side by side now with the Old Boy Alberto. A great backstretch run now. J.W. getting a little loose flying that race boat. The water has calmed down considerably over what it was earlier today, so we've got a pretty good track out there right now for some fast racing. And J.W. Myers on the inside, and the old codger Steve David and the Old Boy Alberto on the outside, the Madison boat from Madison, Indiana. Great corner by J.W. Myers, beautiful turn, and he comes out of the corner out on top and stretches out his lead just a little bit now at the end of lap 1, the first of 4 times around. It is the Lumar and J.W. Myers, followed by the Old Boy Alberto, followed by the rookie Steve Hook with the Beacon Plumbing, and then Dr. Ken Muscatel.
J.W. Myers' Lumar boat must be going very, very well because he had really fallen quite a bit back at the start. He was maybe 4 or 5 boat lengths behind at the entrance to the first pin, but when they came out of the first corner, he was dead even, so that boat's got some power.
And that might have been a radio conversation. Folks warning him, don't jump, don't jump, don't jump, because he looked like he was pretty anxious on the throttle himself for a moment there. All right, now the Old Boy Alberto trying to reel in the Lumar window films, and as you can see, Steve David has gone to the inside, but he has to go through a little slop right there in the right-hand corner of your screen, trying to get through the wake of the Lumar through that turn, and the Lumar has managed to gain even more real estate as a result. And the rookie is starting to work on the outside in third place, trying to reel in the Old Boy Alberto.
You know what Steve Hook has to do is just not damage anything, because he can just sit there and he'll be in the final, but he's probably doing some testing to see how well the boat handles, what changes he wants to make for the final, because I think Steve Hook thinks he can win this race, can win the final.
I think Steve Hook thinks he can win the battle between Old Boy Alberto and himself right now, because it looks like he has come to this race course to do a little bit of racing. Out front, it is the Lumar, as you can see, streaking down the back chute now. J.W. Myers pretty much by himself out front, 2 rooster tails ahead of the Old Boy Alberto, but it is in the race for second and third that we've got some action. There you see on the left of your screen, that is the rookie, that's Steve Hook in the plumbing boat. He is in the rooster tail. He is in the mirrors of the Old Boy Alberto, and in the meantime, even Doug Brow in the Skyway Park is pushing his way up on the inside of that boat. So we got a good battle up there in the corner.
It's basically going to be if Steve David, can't catch J.W. Myers, and I can't imagine he can unless J.W. has a problem. I think that's the nail in the coffin. He's not going to be in the final.
3 laps are down. 1 more to go for J-Dub. 1 more to go for Stephen David. 1 more to go for Steve Hook. 1 more to go for Doug Brow. And now 1 more to go for Dr. Ken Muscatel. He has slipped into last place, and that's uncharacteristic. He has been running better so far today, but this is not where we've seen him run most of this Seafair Chevrolet Cup. Up the back chute now, it is the Lumar, and it looks as though the rookie Steve Hook is going to let Steve David have this position, but he's not going to let him have it by much. He's still running pretty strong up there. Lumar off the apex now, coming to the exit pin of the north turn down by the Lake Washington floating bridge. There you see the difference between those boats, and you see that Steve Hook there at the very top of your screen. They're still trying to catch the old boy Alberto. He's still keeping the pressure on. He's going to have enough real estate to get it done. The winner is the Lumar window film. Second place, the old boy Alberto. Third place, Steve Hooks of the Beacon Plumbing boat. Fourth place overall will go to Doug Brow. He has finished the heat in the Skyway Park. And so the folks from Friday Harbor have got to be pretty happy about that. They've made it to the checkered flag, and here comes Dr. Ken Muscatel bringing up the rear in this Heat 3A.
It looks to me like the Lumar has got the speed to beat any boat out here, but JW cannot spot the person 30, 40, 50 feet at the start line. If JW has any idea about winning the final heat this afternoon, he's going to have that Lumar inside. He's going to have it on the start line on time, and he's going to have a lot of momentum, like I'd say 150 miles an hour at the start line to be able to beat the Budweiser.
Well, one of the terrific owners of boat racing, Bill Worcester, is standing by in the pits right now. His boat, the Lumar, just won this heat.
That's right, Steve. There's a lot of cheering going on down here. It's been a long couple weeks for your crew, hasn't it?
It has been. We worked really hard, and they put it all together. Good day today.
Yeah, that heat looked pretty good. JW did a great job.
He does a great job. JW is he's out of this world. A young guy that's just getting started here in unlimited boat racing, but I think he's one of the top drivers already.
You've been here so many years. Do you ever lose your enthusiasm for this, Bill?
Never do. Never do. Always get excited. I just can't believe the thrill that I get. It's going to go on forever. I'll be around a long time.
It's a lot better when you win, too.
It's a lot better when you win. You get, and this win is just the beginning. We got a long day here.
Thanks a lot, Bill. One of the great owners, Steve, Bill Worcester.
He is one of the very nice men, and it's nice now he's got himself a young buck driving that boat, and he could have that young man, J.W. Myers, driving for him for a while, don't you think, Chip?
He can, and if you see a company like Lumar who sees a young driver like that, who they think they can build a marketing program around, who they can see obviously is a great race driver, they may be sweetening the sponsorship a little bit. So hopefully this is a team that's on the move forward. And we're looking for teams now to kind of fill the void that Anheuser-Busch is going to leave when they leave this sport at the end of the year.
Well, and they will certainly leave a chasm, a huge hole in the sport where Bernie Little and company tread for so many years. However, there's still racing to be done by the Budweiser team yet today. In fact, they'll come up in Heat 3B in just a couple of moments. But right now, it's time for this team, the Lumar window film boat, to celebrate their win in Heat 3A. And J.W. Myers, the youngster, the unlimited light rookie of the year back in '99, and the unlimited hydroplane rookie of the year just a year ago, climbing out to the cheers of his teammates along the shoreline.
He's another product of the Seattle Outboard Association. This local racing association that runs small outboards has produced some really great drivers.
And he's in the pits right now. Go ahead.
All right, JW, great win there.
Thanks a lot, man. It's the UA Lumar team, man. We're working on it. It's getting better and better, but the next heat, boy, I'd really like to win that.
You had a little trouble in Tri-Cities, and your crew had to fix this thing the last couple weeks. How has it progressed through the whole week to this last heat?
Well, the boys haven't got a lot of sleep, but we got it done, and if another event like that takes place, we stand a lot better chance of surviving such an incident.
Can you win this whole thing?
Well, I hope like hell, that's for sure. It's, the only thing, the big concern I have is that other Seattle Outboard guy down there, Jay Michael. He can hit some starts like nobody's business. I raced against him way too many times.
It's kind of fun having you and him here driving Unlimiteds now as opposed to your younger years. Not that you're old.
Yeah. Well, we still race outboards together, and, that's where we where we gained most of our experience was, or almost all of our experience was racing outboards. And, it's just a lot bigger boat.
All right, JW, great win. Smiles all over down here, Steve, for the Lumar group.
Well, and that's exactly what you'd expect after a fine run like that. Our guard Swanson is with Steve Hook also in the pits. Guard.
Hey, Steve, you're not able to change lanes, but you have made yourself or qualified for the finals.
Yeah, I think that puts us in there. I'll have to check with the crew, but I'm pretty sure we're in. Yeah, it was bumpy out there. I had to stick on the final. I'm still qualifying. Had to stick on the outside. So I think we have enough points to get the final now without running into Connie. But
a short while ago, you told me that you guys changed props. You put on the magic prop that you guys had some success in Tri-Cities, and it certainly worked out and panned out for you in this heat.
Yeah, I like the way that prop runs. It sticks the nose down a little bit more, and that's nice in this bumpy water. Our prop guy, Steve, he knows what he's doing back there. I just take what he tells me.
You're kind of cool. Boo-boo. What's up, boo-boo? Yeah, are you kind of quietly just kind of sneaking up on the guys? Because it shows a lot that you're stuck in lanes, but you can't make those lane changes, and you're still very competitive.
Well, I'm qualifying. I know how to race. We all do, all these guys, unlimited light and unlimited. I know I could run on the inside. I want to run on the inside, but got to earn the respect of the officials and the other drivers, and just being patient, and my time will come.
All right, go get them the rest of the afternoon.
All right, thanks a lot.
Yep.
Very smart young man. He knows how to get to where he's going, and where he wants to end up is on the winner's platform before this day is over. Here are your unofficial results from Heat 3A. Lumar in first place, the Oh Boy Alberto second, the Miss Beacon Plumbing third, Steve Hook at the controls, Skyway Park Bowl and Casino, followed by Silver Dollar Casino and Miss Rock. And we're going to rock on with more racing yet to come, Heat 3B, and more air show. We're not done. We've got lots of Seafair yet to come. Don't go away. And let's go racing in Heat 3B. Here are the stories that we're following. The Elam boat needs points. They were the top qualifier. Let's see how they do out here in Heat 3B. The Budweiser, though, the big red beer machine, is cruising yet again. We'll see if they can handle the choppy water again on Lake Washington. And finally, the Graham Trucking boat, a great win for the rookie J. Michael Kelly in Heat 2A. This is Heat 3B. Here are your competitors in 3B. The Elam Plus, the Budweiser, Seattle Boats Graham Trucking, and the Fairweather Sports presents the Toyota of Kirkland.
Miss Budweiser is lagging back right now, waiting to see where the other guys go. It looks like it's going to be Greg Hopp in lane number 1. It looks like it'll be the Elam in 2, the Budweiser in lane number 3. On the outside, it will be the Seattle Boat presents Graham Trucking. And as they come to the line, looks like we're going to have a legal start. That was real close, real close.
I think Terry might have really nailed the start there. Great job. J. Michael was definitely late, and Budweiser really just needs to finish here.
Either he nailed the start or he was a tick too soon. We'll see. Greg Hopp, meanwhile, on the inside, has decided he wants to race with Terry Troxel. The Budweiser just letting him go, laying back, keeping the pressure on, but he isn't going to race him hard down this back chute. He knows Troxel is in a must-win situation as far as his psychic is concerned, and Budweiser doesn't have to really work this one this hard. But meanwhile, the Graham Trucking boat is in 4th position and staying up there with the rest of them. But as they come out of the corner, at this point, it is the Fairweather Sports presents Toyota of Kirkland, with Greg Hopp being passed, or behind rather, the Elam Plus, as it's Elam and Hopp, and then the Miss Budweiser in that order. This could turn into a speedy parade now, though. I don't think anybody wants to pressure anybody at this point.
No, and I think one thing J. Michael is learning by being back there in the slop is you don't want to be late, because this is the kind of water you get to run in. When you have to run in the wakes of everybody else, that teaches you real quick to not be late at the start.
The Elam delivering something of a message that they have a whole lot of boat speed. I think that's one of the things they had to try to tell the big red boat. We now know from the officials that the start was exactly wired by the Elam driver, Terry Troxel. He did not jump the gun, and he is well out front, and it was a beautiful start for him.
You know the feeling when you have a start like that and it's not the final? You're happy you got a start like that, but you're like, darn, I hope I didn't waste it, because sometimes you only got 1 or 2 of those kind of in you, and you want to have it for the final.
He may be thinking like that, but he's going to have another one like that in the final. He's going to have the inside lane, too, I think, when we get to the final heat, if it's going to work out for the big orange boat. Meanwhile, Elam Plus out front, and Pat O'Day, it's a high-speed parade here.
It is. They don't have the Elam pinned down on the water like they did earlier. He's riding real light in the front, and I guess that's the way he's going to go into the final. He's really got it flying.
Yeah, it looks like the Budweiser's ride. I think you're right, Pat. I think they've really done a lot. It's very light on its feet. You see it dancing but not flying away. It's just nice and light. And when you see a boat light on its feet, that means it's using the horsepower to move the boat forward, not plow it through the water. So they're looking good.
Speaking of the Budweiser, Dave Villwock has pulled up almost alongside of Greg Hopp now. I think he's just thinking about seeing if he can push it just a little bit. It looks like it's a pretty reasonable proposition because Greg's got big problems.
I think
now.
Greg going down.
And he has lost it, so Budweiser slips into second place now. Kind of a bonus situation for Dave Villwock because he really didn't need those points, but he'll take them, of course.
You know, I think what we're seeing now, I would say the two best performing boats in the pits are the Elam and the Budweiser. I think right now the Lumar is close but doesn't quite have the boat ride that these two boats have.
I like the boat ride also of the Graham Trucking. They seem to have settled that boat as well. So we are on the third or four times around. The white flag is coming up for the Elam plus Terry Troxel coming off the north
checkered
turn.
flag. Checkered flag.
We're at the checker. I strike that. We are at the checker. Here it comes. Here comes Elam plus and victory for Terry Troxel, his first this afternoon. Some distance back, but by design more than anything else, to Miss Budweiser, with Dave Villwock will take the checkered flag and second place points.
Well, it looks to me like the race we're going to see in the final from what we've seen so far is I think the top three are the Lumar, the Budweiser first, probably the Terry Troxel and the Elam, and then the Lumar a little bit further back. But I think, like you said, Mike, I think J. Michael Kelly is the wild card here.
I think he is, too. The boat ride's a lot better on this Graham Trucking boat, and I think they're going to give him the go-ahead. And the other question, too, is will they make the rookies run outside for the final? And we just asked referee Rick Sandstrom that question. Earlier today, he told me I'll take a look at them. If I'm happy with the way they're running, I'll let them fight for lanes for the final. We're still waiting to hear if he'll let them do that.
You know, Chip, I hear what you're saying, but if you're watching, Steve Hook is getting a great ride in the Beacon Plumbing, and I think he may have something to show us in the final.
Well, I think you're right, and you're basically, I totally forgot about him because what he's shown, he's always shown from the outside all day. So if you can show that good on the outside, you let a guy as aggressive as he is loose to go on the inside, I think you're dead right.
Yeah, he seems anxious to want to get there. I think he'll be lobbying heavily on Sandstrom to let him fight for lanes.
You know, and Sandstrom should let him fight for it. If there's anybody that needs to be put on the outside, it's some of the veterans. I think the rookies have shown very well, and if you can't let these guys go, I don't know what group you could let go.
You know, Chip, what I love about Steve Hook is he's so totally relaxed. You notice that?
Well, I'm so concerned about that. I'm afraid he's going to sleep through the final. I hope they have somebody to make sure that he's awake.
I can tell you who won't sleep through the final, even though he laid back and came in second in this particular heat. Dave Villwock and the Budweiser, they're just saving themselves. Bill Rocky's with them. Bill?
Dave's just getting out of the boat here. Dave, a little different situation that time. You just kind of hung back and let it happen.
Yeah, didn't matter much. Just sort of hung out, keep the boat in one piece, and get ready for the final.
On the other side, Terry had a pretty good run there.
Yeah, he did good.
So how different?
He's about 9 miles an hour faster. He ought to run pretty good.
So are you set up for the final now? Or you got any secrets in the back there?
We got what we got. Like I say, either way, we're going to have a good time here.
I've heard you say that this week a couple times. All right, Dave Villwock takes second. Steve just kind of sits back and lets it happen, takes it easy so nothing bad happens.
All right, we haven't talked too much about it, Chip, but he is fuel restricted because of the power of that boat, right? And so that's what he's talking about. It is what it is.
Yeah, but you got to remember the Budweiser's technology is so far advanced that 3.8, and when we're talking about fuel, we're not talking about the amount of fuel that the boat has in its fuel tank. We're talking about the amount of fuel that's allowed to go through a regulator to the engine. the Budweiser's down to, I think, 3.8. The other boats are up to, some of them up to 4.1. But I believe the Budweiser is so efficient with their technology that their 3.8 is probably as efficient as everybody else's 4.1.
And Mike, the bottom line on all this is just to make for more competitive racing.
The idea is parity, and that's important. Folks want to see boats racing sponson to sponson instead of long-distance parades at high speed. But I'll tell you what, when he says we brought what we brought, remember, they usually bring sterling silver to everybody else's nickel plate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I'm not buying for a minute that Vilwalk speech there. You know, we brought what we brought.
Yeah.
So this race means everything to him and to that team, and he's just kind of poor-mouthing right now.
Yeah.
But you wait for the final.
I don't think he's going to get much sympathy.
You wait for the
either.
final. He's planning on smoking this fleet.
Well, let's see what Terry Troxell has to say about it. He's in the Elam pit with our guard Swanson.
Well, Terry, I got to tell you right off the bat, biggest crowd ovation so far when you just landed on the dock moments ago. Huge clapping for you.
I brought everybody from Gig Harbors here, you know.
How about your run?
We like it. You know, I think Dave's probably sandbagging.
Well, you know,
maybe Chip will tell us. He'll watch the video, get back to me, right?
Dave Vilwalk was just asked about your run. He said, nah, it's okay, not great. Yeah. What do you think about that?
We'll see how great it is in the final.
You think he's sandbagging?
I don't know. I mean, you know, we beat him pretty easy, and I wasn't trying real hard, so we'll have to wait and see.
What do you think about...
A lot more for him, though.
What do you think about that fuel restriction on the Miss Bud? Doesn't even look like there's one.
I don't know. The thing really rolls, doesn't it?
All right, good luck.
Thank you.
Well, everybody's kind of downplaying all this stuff. I think they're just saving all their bullets for the final. But let's find out. I like the rookies. Let's find out what the rookie J. Michael Kelly's doing with Greg Ingham.
All right, well, I'm with J. Michael. His boat's right over our heads, so we're just double-checking everything right there. Hey, you got the third place finish. You're getting some points ahead towards that final. Was that you happy with that race?
I'm happy with it. It was conservative. I would have liked to have been out front, but I'm still learning, so I'm happy with it.
Is that the approach? Were you conservative there on that start? Because you were a little further behind.
I was conservative. I was able to, get the victory the last time out, and I had to, be conservative, to try to make it in the finals. So.
Looks like you're headed that way. You got a third place finish in the Tri-Cities 2 weeks ago, and now it looks like you're headed towards the final again. Another top 3 finish in there. Be saying something about this rookie.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. We'll see.
We're not making any promises, but we like his chances, guys.
Well, any 98 grad of Kent Meridian High School can't be all bad. That's all I can say. Let's take a look at the unofficial results from Heat 3B. And that puts Terry Troxell in the orange-colored boat, the U-16 Elam up front. Miss Budweiser. We'll see if Dave is actually, in Terry's words, sandbagging it, or if he's just holding back for the final. There's the Graham Trucking, Seattle Boats, Graham Trucking, and then the Toyota of Kirkland, the Fairweather Sports presents. It did not finish. So that's Heat 3B. And we're back to racing with the Provisional Heat here in the Chevrolet Cup at Seafair. Take a look at the storylines, and it's really pretty simple. This is a last chance for all of these boats to try to make it into the final, even though they'll be starting as the trailer. And a must-have, certainly, for the U100, the Fairweather Sports presents Toyota of Kirkland. That's the Provisional Heat. Let's take a look at your lineups right now for the Provisional Heat. The Oh Boy Alberto, Toyota of Kirkland, presented by Fairweather Sports. Silver Dollar Casino, Miss Rock, and the Skyway Park Bowl and Casino.
We are not racing for a trailer position. We are racing for a front line number 6 starting position. We will only run 6. So this is very important.
Oh, you're right. More important.
Very important stuff.
And
thanks for clearing that up, Mike.
And it doesn't look like either of the Leland boats are going to make it out here for the Provisional.
Well, that changes everything, and I apologize for that. But Steve David now could change his day completely by winning this and then going out and winning the race. Here we go, Mike.
And as they come across the arc, it's Steve David on the outside, on the inside, Dr. Ken Muscatel. And they're still a little bit early on the clock. Muscatel actually has a better run at the start line than David did. He's gotten a little bit aggressive. Watch him back down just a little bit now. Muscatel will stand on it here as they come down. And they're across the line. Good start. Fair start all the way. So as they come down into the first corner with a little more boat speed, it is the Oh Boy Alberto, but with the lane position. But it doesn't look like it's going to serve to its advantage at this point. It is the Miss Rock.
I think Ken may have hit the entrance pin going into the front. No, I guess it's okay. It looked like he came very close, but Ken has been on the inside all day, and I've never seen that. Steve David in the Oberto, if he can win this heat, I think he's got a boat that can win the final heat if he can win here.
Ken Muscatel's boat is getting airborne, and he is having to back down just a little bit at the three-quarter mark of the back chute. He did not get a good ride up there, and he's lost some ground. Oh boy, Oberto out front now. This is Stephen David. He's from down in the Pompano Beach, Florida area, and he is a veteran, former president of the American Powerboat Association. He's been around, this fella, and he knows racing from all types of craft, and he's got himself a handful right now, but Ken Muscatel is not going to let him go.
No, but don't think that this whole day could turn around very quickly now for Oberto. The fact that he can start on the front line, I believe this is one of the best boats out here. We've had some driving problems, or Steve's had some driving problems today, but I believe they're capable of winning the final. So he gets this under his belt. Watch out.
And it appears now that he is establishing a commanding lead. We do not have any of the other boats, as we mentioned, unfortunately, for Mr. Hopp. His boat never even got off the trailer. Ken Muscatel is in second place, trying somehow or other, hoping gremlins will appear in the engine of the Oh Boy Oberto, but it doesn't appear that's going to be the case right at the moment. The Oberto running on that beef jerky is plenty healthy, coming down to end lap number 2.
This is a great thing that they are going to get to start on the front line. It's great for the fans because having a boat like Oberto 5 seconds behind at the start in the final is not a good thing. We want good boats like that right up there on the start. And the other thing is the Oberto family, their local family. Art Oberto has done so much for this event for years and years. We need them up there.
Down the back chute now, Oh Boy Oberto, and it is Stephen David in command of this race, and it appears quite clear that Dr. Ken Muscatel will not be able to catch him. Now it's a question of listening to all the little haunting noises, Pat O'Day, that you hear in that race boat, thinking, gosh, did I hear that before? Was that a good sound or a bad one?
And, you know, and I think of Fred Leland in the pits, and of course Steve David wants to make that final, and the Oberto family wants their boat in the final heat of the day. Fred Leland, with all of his crew and his sponsors and everything, I'm so sorry he wasn't able to come out here and give it a try in the Provisional. Well, there's your third of 4 times around the course. Steve David's nearly home and nearly in the final.
One more lap to go for Stephen David, and the Oh Boy Oberto will be a frontline starter in the final heat. Ken Muscatel across the line in second place, continuing to give chase, but losing some ground each time around. The Oh Boy Oberto now about 4 rooster tails ahead, and Muscatel's inability to catch him must be very frustrating for Ken.
Ken Muscatel is not going to be in the final heat of the day, but I got to tell you, Ken Muscatel has had his finest day of driving out here on the course. His equipment stayed underneath him, kept working, and he has added a great deal to the show here today.
And he's talked about, if I just had a slightly better boat ride, I'd have everything that, well, he's getting it very close to dialed in.
Oberto's got a quarter of a lap to go, and he's in the final.
And, you know, one thing now, the problem or the Oberto team is going to face is the other boats now are pretty much getting buttoned up. They've made all the changes they want to make for the final. Because he had to run this provisional, and there is your winner, the Oberto, but they have no time to do anything. So they have to hope that the engine came through good, that the wing, the fairing, the propeller, because really all they can do is put fuel in it, turn it around, and go and race.
And you can see that Steve's going right back to the pits to give his crew as much time as humanly possible.
Steve David needed a win. He's got it. He'll be in the final. We'll be back right after this. It's time now. The Chevrolet Cup at Seafair will be decided in the final heat. And here are your headlines. This is the last race in Seattle for the Bud. Dave Villwock would love nothing more than to win here in the hometown. Who's had the speed today? It's Terry Troxell in the Elam. He's had it all weekend long. But there is a rookie named J. Michael Kelly who may have a dream of breaking everybody else's hopes and winning here at Seafair. It's the finals of the Chevrolet Cup. Well, here they are, the best boats on the water today in 2004. Miss Budweiser, Miss Elam Plus, the Lumar Window Film, the Miss Beacon Plumbing, Seattle Boats, Graham Trucking, and the Oh Boy Oberto. They are your boats. They'll be racing today in the final for the Chevrolet Cup. We've got a little extra time now so we can really talk about this final, talk about the boats, the drivers, the conditions on the water to get you set for the finale of what has been a terrific day of racing here on Lake Washington.
One of the major questions that we wanted to have answered was, will the rookies be allowed to fight for lanes? And the answer is yes. They can choose the lane they want to run in.
All right, well, they will all be scoring up, and they'll have to deal with this guy who likes to find the lane and has the speed to get just about any he wants. The U1 Miss Budweiser, Dave Villwock, in perhaps his last race under the Budweiser banner, Chip.
Don't be fooled by Dave shrugging his shoulders saying, oh gosh, I just don't know if we have enough power and I just want to have fun. He wants to win this, and he's got a boat that he can win it with. He's got to be on the inside though, or he's got to be in lane 1 or 2. He can't let any of the fast rookies get underneath of him.
Bill Rocky, I'm going to give a little secret here. You know Dave Villwock as well personally as anybody does. He really wants this race, doesn't he?
That's right, Steve. And when he walked out here, he had his game face on. He gave us all a thumbs up. There's no question how bad these guys want this. Crew Chief Mark Smith walks by us and goes, this is it, the last one. That kind of sums it up.
And so the Budweiser begins to pull away while the U16 Miss Elam Plus, Terry Troxell, has had a pretty darn good Seafair day, a 1, 2, and a 3, Mike.
He has a faster boat. There's no question about it, but he hasn't shown us all of the skill that he is capable of today. He's made some mistakes. He cannot make a mistake now.
It would be a great race for the Elstrom family to win. Let's see what they can do. The U8 Lumar window film, J.W. Myers. He has been a very good young driver for Bill Worcester.
And I don't think he's shown his potential yet. I'm still extremely high on J.W. Myers. I think he's a great driver. I don't think he's lived up to his potential yet. But if there would ever a good time to do that, it would be right now. The last time I believe Bill Worcester won here as an owner was with George Woods driving the Tide boat. So it's been a long time, and it would make me very happy to see J.W. win this race.
The U99 boat, stop freaking and call Beacon. I love it. It's the Beacon Plumbing boat, and Steve Hook, another one of those young drivers who's had a very fine day, Mike.
And let me tell you, if Fred Leland gives Steve Hook the green light to go to the inside lane, then the other guys can start freaking.
As we continue running down the rest of the drivers today, here's that other young buck, J. Michael Kelly. We talk about Edom-Claus, Casey Kane. This is Unlimited Hydroplane's answer to him. The U2 Seattle boat, Graham Trucking. Chip?
You know, now we're going to see a little more what he's made of. It's one thing to, you know, be able to get good starts when you have to start on the outside. It's a little more difficult when you're fighting for a lane and trying to get a good start. So this will be more of an indication of what J. Michael is up to, and I think he's up to the job.
Greg England, you've been down in that pit. He's such a young driver. Is he really as cool and calm as he appears?
Works to his advantage. He's just positive about his experience. Finished third in the Tri-Cities. Another top 3 finish here would say a lot about this rookie at Seafair.
We'll keep an eye on the Graham Trucking boat. And finally, Steve David got in through the provisional, but he is in, and they'll be racing 6 across.
Bottom line, he's got to have the start of his life because he doesn't have the boat speed to chase the Elam or the Bud.
You know, and it's all going to get down to that, isn't it, Mike? And we're going to watch this 5-minute period very closely for you people, because what's got to happen here is you know who you've got to have to your outside. You don't necessarily have to be on the very inside lane, but you know you have to have the guys that have boats that's faster than you to the outside. So right now they're all watching each other. They're all watching the boat they know they have to be inside of.
And while we watch the boats circling, finding their position, let's check in with our Richard Thompson, who's out near the log boom now, and get an idea of the conditions back there. Richard?
Hey, this is Richard. I'm on IFB 32. Do you guys hear me?
Go ahead, Richard. We've got you. Go for it.
That's right. I want to go ahead and show you the water out here at the log boom. Take a look at this. We have been on the boat all day with former Unlimited driver Ken Dryden. He says the chop is just about right as far as he's concerned. The wind, however, he wishes it was a little bit less windy out here. But he says for Seattle, it's just about perfect. Can't wait to see the last heat. Back to you.
All right. And Pat O'Day for a quick 15 seconds could be the last run-up for the Budweiser team.
The most successful marriage between a boat owner and or any kind of a motor speed owner and a sponsor is about to come to an end. Bernie Little always called his boat the Miss Budweiser. Never the Bud, never my boat. He respectfully called it Miss Budweiser, and we're about to watch her final cruise here on the lake.
All right, Pat O'Day, and now for the call to the race, the championship, all the marbles for the Chevrolet Cup at Seafair. Here's Mike Fitzsimmons and Chip Hanau.
Dave Vilwalk and the Miss Budweiser has been just cagey for this last minute and a half. They were going slower than the Vashon Ferry up in that.
They are
up in
way
that corner.
early,
and
Mike.
They
way
are
early.
so early that they could arrive in time for Christmas last year. Here they come around the corner, and they're off plane, really. They're almost illegal.
I agree.
But they are establishing lane.
They wanted the inside lane so badly, they got up there almost a minute early. So somebody on the outside now can wind up and get a good start, maybe beat these guys.
And guess who's out there? That's the young rookie Steve Hook, who's had great starts today. But everybody is so early that they're thinking they're going to get tomorrow morning's paper today, and it's just not going to work out for them. They're going to throttle up sloppily to the line. They're 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I don't know. I think Elam jumped the gun.
Boy, I tell you, that was a very, very bad start. I mean, there's just no excuse to be that slow and that spread out in the line. But I don't know. Do you think he jumped the gun?
I think he might have been a tick over. We'll have to get that official. But meanwhile, Miss Budweiser on the inside giving chase. The Elam on the outside has the lead. We're waiting for the officials to tell us.
Well, the Elam has jumped the gun. The Budweiser really is out front right now. And I just can't say how disappointed I am in those starts. That was bad. But it looks like the Bud's in the catbird seat now.
Very definitely. Elam, however, getting the word that they may have been over too soon. Miss Budweiser, of course, a little more comfortable, but I wouldn't be, because that J.W. Myers is hiding back there right now in the Lumar, and he isn't far off the pace here. You see the rooster tail of the Elam. You also see the Miss Budweiser in the background. They've come across the line. 1, 2, and now 3 is the Lumar, and also Steve Hook in the Beacon Plumbing has come across the line, and then the Oh Boy Oberto.
Now what can happen here, Mike, is the Budweiser's got to contend with the Elam's rooster tail, while J.W. Myers has got clean water. So Terry Troxel can make life very difficult for Dave by making him run in his wake and give J.W. Myers a chance to run in clean water. And I think J.W.'s made up some ground.
He has made up some ground. He's sensing that he has a possibility here, and he's starting to pull into the mist of the rooster tail of the Miss Budweiser. Elam way out in front right at the moment, but there's some question as to whether or not that's the front leading boat right at the moment because of that last tick of the clock that appeared to have the orange boat across too soon.
Okay, Budweiser did the smart thing and moved to the outside of the Elam so he can make sure he keeps J.W. Myers off of him. I don't think J.W. Myers has enough speed to go around the Budweiser on the outside.
Steve Hook's day has come to an end on the backstretch.
Yeah, it has, and that's a shame, too, because he has had such a good day going for him, but it's been a great memory for him on Lake Washington. All right, Elam is illegal. Budweiser is your leader. This is 5 times around. And since it's 5 times around, that could be a problem, because you got to run just a little bit harder and a little bit longer to stay out front. But the Budweiser is stretching out its lead now over the Lumar, and it appears that, as Chip suggested, the Lumar may not have the kind of power it's going to take to beat this Bud.
You know, it's really kind of disappointing, because I think there was a number of boats here that could have won this race, and none of the drivers really. I don't think there was one driver out there that got a good start. They just all kind of stumbled across the line.
They really did. They kind of fell in like a drunken Irishman after a long night at the pub. That was really not a very good start at all. Probably one of the sloppiest, ugliest starts I've ever seen out here.
This may not be the way Dave Vilwalk wanted to win it, but as you would always say, Chip, that's boat racing.
It is. I think he just really wants to be in the Budweiser cockpit the last time they went in Seattle. I know J.W. Myers is going to be kicking himself going, gosh, you know, if I would have driven my own race and made a great start on my own and ignored everybody else, I could have won this. I think Steve David could have won this. And look at Terry Troxel, how well he's running if he would have made a good start, a legal start.
Yeah, Absolutely. There are a lot of folks kicking themselves because they all kind of fell into the let's get there early and see if we can throttle up and get to the first turn. That's a lousy way to start. And I think that some of the rookies were the smarter starters here all the way around all day today.
And it's a bad game to play with the Budweiser because what the Budweiser does so well is accelerate. So if Dave can get everybody up there early with him, he knows that his great acceleration will see him through. You don't want to play that game with the Budweiser. If he's going to get up there slow and early, you got to wind up and have some speed at the line.
And I think in 3/4 of a lap, the Budweiser's career on Lake Washington will be over and end with a victory.
And oddly enough, the Elam did have the boat speed, and had he been a second or so slower to the line, so to speak, even though he was slow on the throttle-up process, he would have run away with this one.
And really what happened is that started so early. I believe they went into the first turn with over a minute to go. And they should have seen, you know, they were so focused on each other, they weren't thinking about what they need to do to make a good start.
All right, Elam's going to have to go one more, and the checkered flag will come out for the Miss Budweiser. There it is, the Budweiser, 41 years, a champion again on Lake Washington.
We just heard that we believe the Budweiser will make an extra lap just to ensure that they didn't jump the gun as well. So, you know, we're just kind of hearing a rumor, and maybe this is just insurance. Dave going, my last, you know, chance in Seattle with the Budweiser, I'm going to do an extra lap for insurance.
The chatter on the official radio is he was a legal starter, so he's just doing it for insurance, definitely. And that will, of course, not be necessary, but it'll make him a lot more comfortable.
You know, J.W. Myers has just not had the year he really hoped for. He really thought this was going to be a year that he was going to really get to show his stuff, and it just hasn't worked out that way.
All right, here's an interesting battle to start-finish line. This is the rookie and the Elam to see who gets scored first. And fortunately for the Elam driver, Terry Troxel, he managed to go a little faster than J. Michael Kelly there and actually picked up a place. He won't finish dead last.
You know what might have happened for Dave is he didn't, I don't know, did you see a checkered flag there, Mike?
I did.
Okay, so.
He did.
Okay, so he's in good shape. Bernie's got to be happy. You know, I know that he probably would have wished that the Budweiser would have continued here forever, but you know that Bernie wants the Budweiser to win the last time they're going to be in Seattle.
The boat people along the shore have seen a great day of racing. There's the final, the 6 propellers turning at 12,000 RPM, throwing hundreds of gallons of water into the air as Seafair comes to another conclusion, and the Budweiser closes out its career winning another big one.
Yeah, maybe one of the biggest of their life, Pat, because this is the last one, and you can't ever downplay the last thing you do, you know.
Isn't that true?
And by my count, 6 of the last 7 Seafairs won by the beer wagon.
That's the story of this racing team. That's the story of its 41 years. Bernie lost 3 years in a row from 63 to 66. He said, I've had enough of that. It'll never happen to me again, and it never did.
And there's a name that I think needs to be mentioned here, and that's the name of Ron Brown, because I think there was 2 basic segments to the Budweiser career. There was the pre-Ron Brown, where they were a good team but not a dominant team. When they hired Ron Brown, he came in and built the team that you see here today. He built the shop, he built the dynamometer where they test the engines, he built the trucks, and I think Ron Brown deserves a great deal of credit for the success that the Budweisers had the last 12, 15 years.
Well, Dave Villwock coming down rather to the start-finish line here, slow off plane, getting one last look at that checkered flag hanging from the official tower.
And Mike, let's find out what the Budweiser team thinks. Joe Little is in the pits, and he's with our Bill Rocky.
Thanks, Steve. Joe, what a great way to finish your Seattle career here. You come out with a win.
I tell you what, it's a great day here in Seattle. The weather is perfect. Racing's good. Dave Villwock did a great job. Unfortunately, Terry and the Elam jumped the gun. You know, and that's tough. That's fighting for lanes. That's what you got to do. Get out there and fight for it. Mistakes are made, but the big red boat comes in victorious again. I don't know how we keep doing it. The Bud Racing team, they're just great people.
You've come here so many times. What's this mean to win the last one?
It means a lot. All the other race sites are great, but you know, you're in your hometown here in Seattle, and really wanted to win this one.
All right, thanks, Joe. Joe's going to go over and say hi to Dave here as Dave's just coming in.
Well, there's your last look at a Budweiser coming to a victorious dock in Seattle. And, you know, it's been a legacy much like the Yankees, much like any dominant sports team. And on the other hand, I believe there is a new day coming. Something is going to fill this void, and it's just time to say goodbye, I guess.
Well, Mike and Chip, take a look now. We've got the replay of the start, and it might take us a while to roll it because these guys were into it so early and they were going so slow.
Now, right now, if you look at these two boats, I'm sorry I didn't get both of them there, but they are off plane. Now, that is actually illegal. The race official could have said, now, these guys at this point should have been way back here at this time, building boat speed, instead of just come up. And at least they should have all been together. I mean, you had guys off.
Nobody would dare. Well, I don't want to say that, but I'll ask it as a question. Mike, nobody would dare come back after the Budweiser wins this thing and then say, well, wait a minute, you were off plane, as happened to him in the Gold Cup race with a couple of infractions.
Yeah, not since Lee Shaneth passed away. We won't have that kind of argument on Lake Washington. No, the fact is that they were 0.4 of a second. Elam was too soon to the line. 0.4 of a second, and there's no question that was a jump, and the Budweiser came across it legally.
And let's go down to the Budweiser pits now. And our Bill Rocky and the man of the hour, Dave Villwalker. Bill?
All right, Dave.
I knew it was going to be exciting. I just didn't know how exciting.
That was a wild start, a bizarre start.
Yeah, well, I knew we had to make something happen in order to make that work. And, you know, I tried to get Terry, and, you know, Terry was trying to get me. Terry made a nice move. I was just ready for the counter move immediately, and turned into a 1-2 in the back straightaway, and we're both early, and I managed to get on the gas at the right time, and Terry got on the gas a little sooner than the right time. But it was a great race, and boy, you know, they had a lot of speed. They just flat ran around us, but today was our day.
You've grown up here, you live here. This is the last one for the Miss Budweiser on Lake Washington. Just your thoughts on looking back at that.
Oh, it's been an awesome journey for me. It's just, you know, I needed some rough water and to make it challenging, and for us to come with a win here this weekend is just unbelievable. This will be one of the most special. And the last, I'm sure Bernie was blowing down on this lake all day long, I swear to you.
Dave, congratulations. The Budweiser wins it, and there's going to be some celebrating tonight.
Yeah, thank you, Seattle, for all your support. Without you, we're nothing. Thank you.
Dave Villwalker, local guy made good, as a number of local guys have done in the Budweiser beer wagon over the years, or the Miss Budweiser, as Pat O'Day told us. Let's go check out Terry Troxel now, who was just ever so slightly ahead of the gun. He's with Guard.
Thanks, Steve. And Terry, if there's one guy that's so disappointed, not only for you, but for your crew and your family and your fans, you got to be hurting right now, especially if you didn't get the start you wanted.
Yeah, well, we knew we were going to start that way, and I thought for sure I had it. I mean, when I got to the pin, I was still looking at it forward, I thought, from the countdown I was getting. So, I don't know. It's kind of a racing game.
You had everything going your way. I talked to one of your crew members before you got on the water, and they said, hey, everything is great. We tweaked the engine. We're ready to go. But this game of racing, it comes down to inches, and you just jumped a little bit. Did you feel anxious, like you had to grab lane 1 or lane 2 to beat the Miss Bud and the rest of the boats?
We were kind of upset when we got lane 2, but, you know, what are you going to do? You're stuck where you're stuck. We were hoping we'd drive around them, and we did. You know, I guess we were just a little early.
Great day of racing anyway. You had a great weekend, and the best of luck for you.
Thanks.
Back upstairs.
Terry Troxel in the Miss Elam, the Budweiser being pulled out of the water for the last time here in Seattle. Let's take a look at the unofficial, and they are at this point unofficial results. The championship for the Chevrolet Cup at Seafair, the Miss Budweiser, the Lumar window film with J.W. Myers, the Miss Elam, the Seattle Boats, Graham Trucking, the Beacon Plumbing didn't finish, nor did the Oh Boy Oberto. And so the final for the Chevrolet Cup at Seafair, and all you have to do is say one very short 3-letter word, Bud. Miss Budweiser, the 2004 winner of the Cup, getting just the start they had wanted, a leading wire-to-wire after Terry Troxel jumped in the Miss Elam, and the Budweiser wins here at Seafair yet again. A terrific day of racing on the water as the wind continues to blow and the sun continues to shine, and especially so on that red boat and its team, with Bernie Little looking down from, well, we believe high above, but some of us on this tower would know better than others. Let's take a moment here to kind of wrap things up a little bit on this day of racing and head back out to the start-finish line to our two good friends and our two legends in this sport, Mike Fitzsimmons and Pat O'Day, as you guys assess, sum up, look back. Tell me what you think about this day and how it ended.
Well, I got to tell you, we did see some very odd starts today. We saw a lot of drivers who have a lot more talent than they demonstrated today. And I think, unfortunately, the complexion of the race sort of fell that direction. But we also saw some fabulous new rookies who are going to be great champions in the future.
But I got to tell you what else we saw today. We saw a giant crowd. We saw blue skies. We saw Blue Angels. We saw ecstatic fans along the shore. We saw enthusiastic boat racers. There'll always be heartbreak. There will always be happiness when it comes to victory or defeat. But I got to tell you, this community had fun on this lake today, and I hope the people at home watching us on the tube, we were able to capture the excitement and the joy and the hilarity and the happiness of this day.
I think they had fun as well. And finally, Chip, did you see a future for this sport today?
Oh, I always see a future for this sport. We just got to get over some humps here. Like Mike, I'm disappointed. I didn't think we saw the talent of the drivers' potential that they have, but it was a great day. And don't worry, there's going to be great boat racing to come for a long, long time.
Well, on behalf of all of us with Cairo 7, the guys in the pits, the gals and guys on the log boom and along the shore did a terrific job bringing you this story. All of our technical support from high in the air to on the shore. We'll be back with more from the Chevrolet Cup at Seafair